Do you think they're ready?
I don't know. Yeah, they're ready.
What the fuck is up, internets? Welcome to the very first episode of That's the.
Fucking trailer.
We are very happy that you are here. We hope that you have subscribed. We hope that you've hit the bell so you get notifications about all of our future episodes. We will be doing an episode every single week, covering one movie per week. And this first episode is devoted to Black Panther. That was your pick.
That was my pick, and for the audience, the reason why I chose Black Panther first was, first and foremost, a culturally important film, very culturally important, not just for film, cinema, things of that nature, and for pop culture. Generally, whenever a film itself crosses outside, whenever a film that's intended for one genre can cross out and be something more, that's what stands out to me. And I think every film we do this season will speak to that. But more specifically with Black Panther, not only is it a Marvel film, it's a film, a part of a series of films, but it also can be used as a standalone film by itself. So it's great either way. So I chose that. And of course, with obvious reasons, respectfully resting in film heaven, Mr. Chadwick Boseman, we want to pay honor and respect to him. So being that we're going to do this film anyway this season, guys, but being his untimely death, or should I say his ascendance into the heavens of Wakanda to be with Boss, we want to go ahead and pay our respect.
That's a solid elevator pitch.
Thank you.
That brings us right into talking during the movie. All right, let's break it down. What do you got?
Well, what I don't got. First and foremost, he thinks I do no research.
Oh,
that's cool. It's cool.
I got some here. Do you want me to go first on just one of mine, and we can go?
How about we go
forth?
back and forth?
That sounds good.
That's what she said. All right.
All right. So first thing I noticed that I have written down on my little notes here is the film opens up in Oakland, California.
Love it.
1992.
And what's important about that?
The first thing that came to mind while I wrote it down was like, it wasn't that Rodney King in 1992.
Also, something else very good. I didn't pull that. That's the original birthplace of the Black Panthers.
And the director, Ryan Coogler,
is from Oakland, California. So there's a fun fact for you kids. If you didn't know it, opening scene definitely opens up. The film comes in with Black Panther, and that's where the organization started at. So we want to definitely pay homage to that. But one other fun fact, if you would like, do you know that the actual film Black Panther wasn't named from the actual organization? Can you, for bonus points, tell me where it comes from?
I can't tell you where it came from, but I do know that it was the Black Panther comic. The character in the comic was predated
3 months.
Black Panther Party.
By 3 months, 100% correct.
And they actually changed it to, I think it was
Black Leopard.
Black Leopard. Yeah, was that what it was? Very, very for a very short period of time, they realized we're like, no,
that's not planned.
No,
that's not planned.
But that just goes to show you that straight from the beginning, the powers that be over this thing that people have taken on as their own. The powers that be that are ultimately controlling it from the get-go never had their finger on the pulse of what society actually wants from this.
And the moment when it could have been something that society rolled behind, they said, nah, let's change it.
Yeah.
But thankfully, you fans out there, all my comic connies that were probably 9 or 10 years old when this comic book was coming out, you fought hard for it to become Black Panther again. So thank you, and there's so much for that.
It actually began in Oakland when Ryan Coogler was a teenager. He walked into a comic book shop. He said, I want to see a superhero that looks like me. That's when he got the Black Panther comic, and that's when kind of the inception of this film began, way back when he was a teenager and wanted to do this.
Well, when you're talking about, it's funny you say that, because when he said he wanted to see a superhero that looked just like him, Black Panther was the first actual black superhero. Well, as far as Marvel and comic books are concerned, Action Jackson may be my first black superhero. That's a story for another day.
There was some black cowboy too.
That
was reoccurring,
but
he was the actual superhuman strength.
So before Blade, before Luke Cage or Storm or anybody like that, there was him. But what I wanted, most people don't know this. Like I say, not even people who've seen the film, 90% of them think that the name Black Panther came from the Black Panther movement. And as you've already mentioned, it was predated by 3 months. But actually, is doper than what they actually think. This is what's dope. He was actually, the term Black Panther actually came from, and this is where the Black Panther movement got their name from the soldiers in World War II in the U.S. Army. There were a battalion of soldiers who were not allowed to fight aside Caucasian men for whatever reason. Who knows? Something about racism. I don't know. You got 400 years to cover that, kids. But they were not allowed to fight beside them, so they were doing so good, and they named themselves the Black Panthers. And that's from World War II. And that led all the way to the revolution of Black Panther and things we have going on now.
I won't even fact check that because that sounds accurate, just in line with Marvel and the whole comic book world being in bed with like the military complex and trying to sell that propaganda in some way or another.
Definitely. Go ahead. So what else did you find on your journey down the black hole?
Well,
no pun intended.
Not all these are just, some of these are just observations. So okay. I'm watching it, and opening scene when T'Challa, he bursts down and he breaks up the human traffickers just to get the hell is
no, we practiced this before the episode. No, you don't get to do that. If you're going to be doing a show, okay, it's going to be awesome.
Nokia.
There we go.
Nokia. Okay.
There you go.
Colonizer.
You like Kias? Nah, I don't like no Kias, not Kias.
All right, so he busts up her operation, and let me get this straight. She said, "You've ruined an operation. I've been on this for like, what, weeks, months, whatever."
Yeah.
He just breaks in and kills them all, and just to tell her, "I'm going to be crowned king. I want you to be there." Well, my question is, I mean, they have like all of the technology that you could want. They're flying around in aircraft.
So why he uses bees?
That little thing that what's her name did to get in like the third act. You see them do that. He could not have phoned her.
No, he couldn't, and let me explain why. He didn't break down. I hate to be this kind of guy, but it's Black Panther, and they're going to get me if I don't do this right. He didn't kill everyone. He actually killed everyone except one. At the last scene, one of the last scenes, Nakia stops him. She says, "He's just a boy." And he lets him go. But to answer his question, yeah, he did all of that because, listen, first off, he's a badass. That's number one, and that's what he does. But number two, if you notice, she was undercover. She was a spy, so she couldn't have those bees. So while he had them, she could not have them. He could not communicate with her like that because she would be seen with these bees, which no one, the only Wakandans had that. And while there's 5 different tribes of Wakanda, not all of them have the same technology as everyone else.
She is his ex.
Correct.
Like, if I would never just drop in. I feel like
she's her spy.
Okay, but every single superhero has this issue with being an egomaniac.
True.
Like
every single one.
He could have burst down on her operation and took care of everything for her the day before, but he only had a selfish reason to go there and be like, I'm going to be crowned king. I want you to be there.
I wouldn't even say.
It was very Superman of him. Like, look at me.
I wouldn't say that because I'm going to tell you why. Because I am a blurred. For all you out there, he'll give you a definition on the screen now. Bing. If you follow the events of Civil War, which is the first time Black Panther himself, not Wakanda, but the first time Black Panther himself was brought into the cinematic universe, we first meet Chadwick Boseman, a.k.a. King T'Challa, before he is King T'Challa. Remember, his father was King T'Chaka, and that was in Civil War. So then once we do get to Black Panther, no, it's cool. We're not reviewing Civil War. It's fine. Ironically, shout out to George Carlin. Isn't that the most ironic term in the world? Civil War. But anyways, another story for another day. But no. So again, he is not king. So what happened when his father just gets killed out of nowhere? You heard Shuri. You heard Shuri said later in the movie, the challenge will take weeks to prepare. So basically, he couldn't go to her until the challenge. He went to her the day before the challenge. So basically, after they got all their longitude and logistics down, that's when he went to her and said, "I'm being crowned king tomorrow." So he wasn't being an egomaniac. It's like, this is the last moment I can do it. I hate to interrupt your mission, but I got to come get you.
All right, I'll take that.
All right, so you'll take that. Let's see what else you'll take. Maybe you'll take some of my notes since, again, he thinks I doesn't fact check. He thinks I don't do these things. All right, so one things I want to talk about is that really got me was like, okay, when you're talking about Marvel and things of that nation. Okay, so here we have King. He's about to be King T'Challa, and now what they did in the comics is very different than what they did in the movie. In the comics, T'Challa is smarter than Shuri. But in the movie, Shuri is smarter than T'Challa. But the problem I had with it was that while Shuri, we'll get to Shuri in a little bit. I don't even want to go into that yet. I'll be back to Shuri later.
As will I.
So with that being said, what happens is so they do the flip flop. But my problem is this: is that T'Challa, the heart shaped herb which gives him the power of the Black Panther gives him super strength, agility, and speed. But without all of that, he is super brilliant by himself. The movie did such a poor justice at explaining that he was just as smart as he's one of the top 10 smartest characters in Marvel. But to me, I think they didn't want to move it to where you had two of the smartest people in the cinematic universe being black. Now that's on me. But you can't have Suri and T'Challa being the top 10 smartest people in the world. Because I'm sorry, that makes 2 out of 8 that are the smartest. I'm sorry, but that's just me.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was very, I mean, the whole movie was very pro women power. Like, I mean, his guards, his sister, the ex, Lupita.
Dora Milaje.
Like,
Dora Milaje. Dora Milaje. Dora Milaje.
That's one of the things that, like, when I went down the deep search on Black Panther, one of the grievances that people had was that T'Challa was one of the like least fleshed out characters, and what Marvel like had the potential to do with him. It was sad that they didn't do that. They did a fraction of that. That he was kind of like a canvas for everybody else to live on.
I look at it a different way because a true king is a server of the people.
Oh,
and
yeah.
at any given time, he put his self-interest aside. He wanted to be a good king like his dad. He wanted to be a good king for Nakia. He wanted to be a good soldier for Okoye. He wanted to help his friend who parents got murdered by Ulysses Claw. He wanted to be everything to everybody. And the only way to be everything is to everybody, you have to be a canvas that can be painted on to build a beautiful picture. So yeah. Because when you hear the word Black King, you're thinking of this big guy, like almost an M'Baku character, big, just controlling everything. But yet again, it's almost like I'm doing my conversation a disservice. He was smart enough to understand that he had it to work together with a bunch of people, and it wasn't just his way or the highway.
Yeah, there was a quiet power to him. I liked it. That's definitely not one of my grievances. That's one of the things that I liked about him in like comparison to other superheroes was that there wasn't this flashiness. He was a quiet lion.
Can I say one more thing before you go?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand like how important the technology is in Black Panther. And let me explain why that is. The technology in Black Panther, Wakanda first makes his real appearance in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the first Avengers movie. What happens is they're driving these Quinjets, and the technology that powers the Quinjets comes from who? Suri in Black Panther. So my point is this. So, okay, that's one way of looking at it. Also, another way of looking at it, here comes my blurredness yet again. Iron Man, when he gets his most updated suits, the one that kills Thanos, he starts using what's called nanotech. Nanotech was invented by Suri. The first time she puts on that necklace and says, "Tell it to go on."
Captain America's shield is made of vibranium. Right?
Vibranium, but let me tell you something that even comic book fans don't know. Even fun fact blurs like me and nerds across the world don't know. There's a different version of vibranium. It's called Antarctic vibranium, and that's what his claws are made of. Everything in his suit is made from regular vibranium, but his actual claws are Antarctic vibranium, which the strength of that is it basically breaks down the decomposition of other metals.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Royal does research. Rockin' with Royal.
I got another observation. It's Forrest Whitaker.
That's funny you say observation. Don't do him like that.
I will preface this by saying that I am a Forrest Whitaker fan.
Oh my God.
Not so much a fan
I got black friends. Yeah, I got black friends.
What was the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie he was in back in the day with him? I'm getting my.
Are you talking about? You're talking about Bloodsport?
Yes. Okay. I thought it was that one. I thought it might have been Lionheart. Okay, but yeah, I'll just say this: in Black Panther, he is the first actor that I've seen that in the same movie deserves an Oscar and a Razzie.
What is the Razzie for? I know what the Oscar is for.
The Razzie is for any time that he is not being victimized in some kind of way or put into a corner where he has to express or he has to like emote. Just where Forrest Whitaker shines is when he is sad, when he's hurting, when he's expressing like grief or regret. Those moments Oscar worthy.
Okay.
But when you first see him, like when he's like the
sorry, son of Baku.
Yeah, I was like, this is he's stretching himself beyond his capabilities here.
He's the king of Scotland, man. Get it together.
All right, I didn't buy it. But then when he was admitting to T'Challa that he was in that room, that he was the spy,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, really, he was emoting, he was feeling bad, he was pushed into a corner. That moment, I was like, man, I love it when he gets teary-eyed. He can do that better than anybody, and I just want to hug him.
He's being funny with the teary eye, but you know how to do it, don't you?
But like on the note of when like the younger version of him, when you look back at that first scene, why is he still acting like he's like, who are these girls at the door?
Oh, he has to. You have to understand.
But the gig is up.
But it's not. But it is not. Because I'm going to explain why. Yet again, because I take notes and I look at these movies. Is that because you have to remember, he is a double spy. He was sent to spy on the king's nephew at the time, because King T'Chaka was still T'Chaka, not T'Challa, was still king. He was sent to spy basically on the king's brother.
Okay.
Like, that's some deep covered G14 classified shit. And so because even when, remember he said, who's that at the door? He's like, man, some Grace Jones looking chicks out there. He was like, let them in, don't knock again. So he's still acting dumb. And even when they say, introduce who you are, he didn't know if basically King T'Chaka still was going to give his brother a chance to admit what really happened. And Forrest Whitaker's younger character couldn't break character until the king told him it was okay, because he's still on a mission. You even heard Nakia say, I am on a mission. They take their mission seriously.
I will concede, but I still believe that a lot of that was just, they forfeited a lot of his character in that moment just for the sake of the twist where he pulls his lip down and shows that he's there too.
We'll let the fans decide that, but I will say this, for bonus points on your research here, and this will get David. Somebody send David in something if he gets this right. I don't think he's going to get it right, but we'll see. Maybe I'll wear the face here. So who played young Forrest Whitaker in that scene?
Young Forrest Whitaker was played by what was his name, Denzel Whitaker.
Oh, look at him!
But they are not related.
And they are not. However,
but they played father and son in
great
another
debaters.
film.
Great debaters. And see, guys, that's why we do what we do. I'm throwing stuff at him. He's ready for it, and I got it. That's what we do. Hey,
I mean that was a softball, though. Come on.
Well, I'll give her a hard ball later.
I have one other observation that made me laugh almost as much as Forrest Whitaker trying to be anything other than Forrest Whitaker. So they have these crazy aircrafts, they have vibranium-powered floating trains, all this advanced technology, and war rhinos.
Yeah.
One of these things are not like the others. Like,
true.
whose idea is that something that came from the comic book? Why did they leave that in the movie? It was so out of place.
But it was not.
Okay.
I'll explain why. Yet again, this is still Africa, sir. They're still in Africa. Animals exist, and the animals are going to be vibranium-laced animals. The horns that they were vibranium, and furthermore, they were the rhinos only existed to the border tribe. I mean, if anybody tried to come in here, we got to get them out. They got to know how serious we are. So they belong to the border tribe to make sure, hey, listen, we need the heavy artillery at the border in case something pops off. So nobody even, and that's just, the animals were not the worst, but they were the least strongest. But if you got past them, you still in a world of hurt. So that's why they were there at the border tribe. Sorry, David. Try again. Now, we would be remiss, definitely, to rest in peace to two other people that had something to do with Black Panther. We have to pay homage now. Black Panther was, of course, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So when you think about when they originally created these characters, back then, Stan Lee has always been known for trying to put out a message of not politics but society and his stuff. You mentioned that earlier. If you ever look at Professor X and Magneto, he's even said it. He based those characters off Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. And so me and you're going to talk about that later, how T'Challa borders on the sides of Martin Luther King, no pun intended, King T'Challa. And of course, Eric Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan, he leans towards the side of Malcolm X, no pun intended, X. See how they did that? Boom, dropping knowledge.
Oh, man.
King X.
That's funny that you compare T'Challa to Martin Luther King. Wasn't the CIA involved in the assassination of Martin Luther King?
Yeah.
Yeah, T'Challa is I'm pretty sure Martin Luther King was against the CIA, and T'Challa brought somebody from the CIA through the Wakanda borders.
No way. They used Eric Killmonger like they used Malcolm X. And the reason why I say, if you want a reason behind my comparison, not to just throw out this stuff, if you look throughout the movie and you dig deep into the story, and this is where storylines, if you're ever doing a film, guys, and you want to talk about, you have to develop your characters have to make sense with the story. So if you dig deep into it, what happened was, you heard Eric Killmonger say, Wakanda has the weapons to liberate its people all over the world. When you talk about liberation,
Oh,
that's the
I'm not arguing the fact that Killmonger is very much like Malcolm X-esque,
Mhm.
but I don't think that T'Challa and I just see
It's not Wakanda's way to wage war on the world. He doesn't want to wage. He wants peace. What did Martin Luther King want?
yeah, but didn't Martin Luther King say by any? Well, wasn't
No,
he
that
by?
was Malcolm
I, kn-
X by any
I
means
know,
necessary. Oh,
but
definitely don't take that out. Y'all heard that.
but didn't Martin Luther King subscribe to that as well?
Eventually, they had a meeting of the minds at the end. And but as far as this film is concerned, if you had to paint them as characters, very soft spoken, very intelligent, very well dressed, that's Martin Luther King.
Surface level for sure.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I think what we saw in T'Challa that we didn't see in Dr. Martin Luther King is that the internal struggle of trying to figure out how he wants to go out there and be on that front line. He wants to be Malcolm X, but he's still King T'Challa. So I think that's kind of where he believes, because if you notice, this is what most people don't realize. If you're somebody like TG, I'll tell you who TG is later, but if you're somebody who didn't really dive into the film, Nakia was saying the same thing. She says she's been out into the world. She sees what's going on. The same thing Eric Killmonger said. The same thing M'Baku said. No king has come up here for years, and now you come talking of peace. So at every single step, Wakanda did everything to protect itself from the rest of the world, while the liberals are the rebels. Someone who I would side with says, "Nah, our people out there struggling in the rest of the world." But T'Challa and Wakanda's theory was, the rest of the world is a cancer. We have to cut it off at the leg and protect our people. But real quick, Eric Killmonger comes back with a line, says, well, then life start right here on this continent, so ain't all people your people. What he meant by that, guys, history lesson. The oldest person traces back to Africa. If you never heard of Africa, do some research. Google, plug, now.
And that's where I say T'Challa is problematic because, I mean, he may have been on the path to becoming more like Dr. King and on the path to becoming even more like Malcolm X. You saw that when he went to see the ancestors and his dad, and he told them all to their face that they were wrong. But he was still stuck in the bureaucratic bullshit of it all. When I'm watching Killmonger 1, I think he's one of the most fascinating villains that has ever been created because...
Afghanistan, Duval, Moncrief. I did all that so I can bring this movie to you.
Because I find myself agreeing with him on, like, every step of the way. Of course, like, in the third act, he takes extremist measures. He's, like, he does things that are frowned upon easily, but where he's coming from, his principle being pushed, why he's pushed to the edge, like, all of that, and his father, I see, like, as far as their principles go, I'm right in line with them. And Shuri, was it Shuri?
Which one are we talking about? Forrest Whitaker's character or T'Challa's sister? That's Shuri.
Okay, Shuri.
Yeah.
She actually expressed some
Stolen
of
by
those
Apple,
same,
by the way. They called her Siri. Made it the most intelligent thing for Apple. But we'll do that another day. Sorry, go ahead.
So she expressed some of those same sentiments where they want to use what they have to take care of the world. It's like this liberal point of view in the film that is...
Who expresses that?
Siri.
When did she express that?
When
Nakia says that, but I've never seen Siri
When
say
she's
that.
talking to her brother, is in the beginning. I can't remember exactly.
Or the
when.
end. Which one?
In the beginning.
Okay,
Definitely in the beginning.
Okay. Bible
she
reference.
And that's because it was that one moment where I was like, okay, maybe, like, that's going to be the reason why he evolves in his way of thinking about keeping Wakanda a secret. But anyway, so Suri kind of expresses the same sentiments. There's this, they want to share Wakanda's advancements with the world. That puts them at odds with the established power in Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
And you said it, like, Killmonger summed it up perfectly. He was like, didn't all life begin here? Aren't as in everyone your people? And, like, that, like, I'm watching it and I'm like, this shouldn't be the bad guy. How is this person the bad guy?
Well, they never said he was the bad guy. Because think about it from his perspective. He's a stepchild that got left behind and told about this great place where his dad was from, and he saw his dad get killed. So he has nothing but vengeance.
Yeah, the way every great superhero is born.
Like, the vengeance?
Yeah.
The original hero of vengeance is Batman.
Yeah. Like,
speaking of that, notice how similar their stories are. Their characters are both pretty much born of tragic deaths of their parent or parents, just parent for T'Challa, parents for Bruce Wayne. They are both wearing all black, and they both are pretty much, if people don't know this, do your research. I hate to tell you. Richer than Bruce Wayne and richer than Tony Stark is one King T'Challa. Do the research. He by at least 3, 4, 5 times. Do your research. The boy's paid.
Yeah, he was an awesome villain. But as soon as he came on the screen and started expressing his views, as soon as his story was fleshed out, which reminded me a lot of Simba, like cast from the Pride Land, goes away, trains his whole life, come back and fights his family for the throne. Like that was pretty much a superhero version of the Lion King.
Oh, it's funny you say that. You did do research. So you already know that the scenes from when T'Challa is hugging his father in Civil War rivals when Simba finds his dad, and of course is hugging on his dad, and also the scene to where Simba's dad, who played by the one that did the Force, you know him. Anyway, when Simba's dad, Mufasa, comes to him and he appeared, like, think about when you were a child. Think about when you were a child. What color was the sky when Mufasa reappeared to Simba out of nowhere? It's that same purple and hazy feel. How you get? It's the same place they were at. So if anything, guys, let's not call it for what it is. We're calling. I'm sorry, I have to say something that's never really talked about. What's really happening here? If you've ever seen Wakanda, if you've ever seen that land, Pride Rock and Lion King, or if you've ever seen Zamunda, these are basically the way that African American writers, actors, and actresses, and whoever does film in our culture got away with being able to talk about Africa. You can't have a film, you should be able to, but you can't have a film that says Africa is the most intelligent nation in the world and it has this technology that nobody's going to buy that. They don't want to believe it, clearly. I mean, whatever. But with that being said, they can't sell that. But they can sell Wakanda because that's made up. Zamunda's made up. Pride Rock ain't real. It's a cartoon. The moment you tell them it's real, they ain't buying it.
Yeah, that's true. On the, before we move off of Killmonger, this is kind of in line with that video I was telling you about. This black vlogger, he took issue with the way Killmonger was portrayed.
Okay.
It was actually his video, and I'll find it and link it in the description here. But
Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button.
His video was he took issue with a lot of things in it, but the main thing that I actually identify with was his issue with Killmonger. He was like, Killmonger, the video was titled like Black Panther doesn't like African Americans or something like that, because Killmonger it represents Black America, and he comes from Oakland. He's the way he's portrayed as like this extremist that wants to hand over the vibranium weapons to every person that's black in the world and everybody else. They didn't flesh him out at all. They took him from like, yeah, here's a pretty decent reason why this individual might have these issues, and he immediately jumps to like Hitler-esque, kill everybody except our race. Mm-hmm. And the issue was like as soon as he got to Wakanda, he threw all broke loose because of him.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be that way. Like,
it actually did.
He could have been such a more, like, he was already like I said, the best villain. But what made him the best villain is because I actually identified with the reasoning he had for, like, his dad was killed, so that's the perfect vengeance story, and what he wanted out of what he ultimately wanted was to take care of everybody. But then they flipped it in the third act where he's just a brutal dictator.
I disagree.
How? I mean, he was like...
Because you made my points with
Think about in the garden, when he goes in there, he wants everything burned, and the minute that woman even questions him, he has her up in the air by her throat. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just little decisions like that villainizes him.
Of course. But my point is just to say, the only part I'm disagreeing with you on, and maybe this, as you call him, black blogger. We'll find out. I'm pretty sure there's only one or two of those in the world. Once we find out that, this is my point that I disagree with again, is disagreeing with the character wasn't fleshed out. To me, it was fleshed out in a style almost as if you watching a movie like a Quentin Tarantino movie where it doesn't give you everything up front. It kind of like flips back and forth, and it's up to you to put the story together. Let me not give it to you. And the reason why I say that is this: we start out at the beginning, and we see his character was being fleshed out not just by him, by himself alone. No, his character was not fleshed out, but his dad. His dad was the one that taught his son every night about. Think about this. His dad came from, at least they didn't say how long he had been in America, but he at least had been in Wakanda for at least most of his life. So you come from seeing kings, queens, people live, eat right, dress right, talk right, learn, evolve, educate themselves, to you come to your worst nightmare, a lean on me version of America in Compton. And so now not only that, your worst fears, you've told me offset, is you didn't want to bring a child into this world. So he came from that and actually brought a child into not the world he came from, the world he lived in. So now he has a responsibility. He has to teach his child where he comes from, and also that you are living here now. So it's like saying, hey, heaven exists, but you're living in hell. Now let's stop there. So, with that being said, all he wants to do is just be like his daddy. Any kid wants to be like his dad. Fast forward, he comes outside from playing basketball after seeing an alien ship leave and sees his dad with claws tatted all up in his chest. Do you know what we just said? Well, that worked for Batman. That's for heroes. If heroes can be born from vengeance, villains can be born from worse villains. So walking in, seeing your parent die, not just dead, murdered, and having no answers, not even knowing who did it, getting no justice. Mm-hmm. So finally, after you've been to Iraq and all these places that are just bred from blood and killing, you want him to be diplomatic. There is no diplomatic when he is that close to tasting. Once he would have got liberation, then maybe he would have chilled out a little bit. But to him, yeah, he's choking bitches. He's doing all this crazy shit. You know why? Because choking that bitch ain't got nothing to do with walking. When he walked in and saw his daddy dead on the ground with Panther claws, to him, that's a least a thing that he has to do to liberate people, to show them we have the power. And if this wouldn't happen to me, though, it could have been different. And the truth be told, me and you agree. I agree with the Killmonger role. The only issue is I can't let people say they don't like how they vilify him. Well, if that person got their daddy killed in front of them and went to Iraq and did all this stuff and then had a chance to take care, to look out for their daddy, which is why he killed Shuri, when we were like, that's why he killed him, and then he wanted to kill Black Panther. But at the end of the day, they still develop his character at the very end, and I can't say why, because that's going to be my quote of the movie. So I'll stop.
Okay. All right. So
hey, I'm giving you a different size here, man.
When he comes back and fights, and this is all right. Let's discuss the technicality in T'Challa's fight with Killmonger.
Do we have to?
Yeah, Killmonger clearly won. He clearly won.
Yeah, he did.
T'Challa, he had to be rescued, nursed back to health. He was given performance-enhancing purple drugs, and then he has the nerve to come marching back in like, "Hey, the challenge isn't over." Like, mother. Yes, it is. You are dead on ice. If they moved you off the ice...
No. I never freeze.
That was some bullshit, man.
It's not, bro. I never yielded. He explained himself. Yeah, I did not yield.
He couldn't yield. He couldn't move until they...
All we know is we thought he was dead.
Yeah. That was... When I saw that, I'm like, how am I supposed to be rooting for this dude? This is the little shithead, like, in football that like tries to get something on a technicality. Like, no,
it was technicality.
You lost, and you're coming back with infused with the purple stuff that you.
No, that's not fair, because the purple stuff was still in his old uniform. Remember when they did the last fight, and I'll speak to that real quick. When they did the last fight, they took away the power of the Black Panther, and one of the things I wanted to and remember, old boy Eric Killmonger had just taken the herb, so it would have been an unfair fight because Killmonger had the herb and he didn't. But that's okay. One of the things you mentioned earlier that I have to just really talk about is the Dormology. Listen, dude, I'm a fan of action films. I'm a fan of like listen, with Kill Bill. I'm cool with like seeing female superhero leads and everything. But when I tell you, not only, I have to be honest, I didn't read the Black Panther comics. I'm just a fan of film, so that's why we're doing a film podcast. We're not doing a comic book cast. We're doing a film show. So I didn't know about the Dormology prior to Black Panther. So I read up on IMDb. You'll be paying us soon. I read up on that, and just kind of start. And what got me interested is a certain cast member, which I won't mention for obvious reasons, because I'll be talking about them later. They were in another show that I knew about. So basically, my point is this: the Dora Milaje are one of the first and only female-driven groups. Like, they protect the king. They don't have superpowers.
According to the comic books, they do more than protect the king, but
Well,
I'll get into that during the
we're talking
facts
about
section.
the film, though.
Yeah, okay.
I saw that too. Shout out to King T'Challa. I know King T'Challa. But the Dora Milaje, like, they are like no other. Forget just comic books. What film have you seen to where there's a male lead that's a superhero that is surrounded only by women as his main protectors? Can you think of anything in your history of film?
No.
Me too. I'm drawn, and if I'm wrong, the guys prove us wrong. But my point is that they were just so, like, they didn't have the men, they didn't have the border tribe there, they didn't have the Jabari, they weren't like renting out thugs or anything from different countries or anything. Mm-hmm. They had his back at any given time.
All right, it is time for Big Fikes.
Fikes.
We're about to rattle off, so I'm going to give you 13 facts that I found about Black Panther. I want to see if I can stump you on any of them.
Can I use my peripheral vision?
Sure. Yes, please do. I don't like direct eye contact.
No, I'm not going to look.
All right, so fact number 13, the car chase. All right, so did you know that the car chase scene was edited in real time during the production of the scene on location in South Korea? Coogler, he did this to ensure that they captured everything they needed to make the fantastic scene work as well as it did. I
actually did know that. I'm not going to say I knew it when the movie came out. Probably a month or two after the movie came out, and you have a chance to let it soak in. I read back through that. I did actually know that that definitely did happen. So that's 100% correct.
All right, very good, very good. 1 for 1. All right, number 12, the club scene. Nakia's, her green pattern dress. Do you know anything about that dress?
Only thing specifically I know about that dress is that there is a scene that you'll be showing right now, and I don't know if this is the fact you're going to talk about, but that dress, there's a scene where on the overhead banister, there's her, Chadwick Boseman, and there's Okoye. Okoye has on the red dress, Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther T'Challa is in all black, and Nakia is in green, and those are the colors of the African flag. So yet again, subtle, hidden messages. Though that's a Marvel. That's an Easter egg. Wake up.
What I have about that dress is it was actually, people noticed how well it fit her. It was actually
vibranium.
It was 3D printed. Like,
whoa.
I don't know if it was the first 3D printed dress, but it was 3D printed to perfectly fit her perfect frame.
Well, now I'm 1 for 1 because I did not know that, and I'm happy that I know that.
All right, number 11.
Nakia.
In the comic books, Black Panther's bodyguards also served as communal wives, so probably a wise choice that they left that function out of the modern film.
Well, I mean, the king did not have a queen. He must say, and if anything we know about the king,
your royal vibranium is...
he must sow his royal oats, and the royal vibranium is clean, your highness. All hail King T'Challa.
All right, number 10. Did you recognize the voice of the AI system that guides Everett when he's flying the jet?
I know the voice of every other AI. No, because I know the voice of every other AI in Marvel Cinematic History except that one. So I'm sad you got me on that. What is it?
Trevor Noah. Who is that? I think he's actually he's from there. I can't remember exactly where.
You don't know where there is?
Over there, yonder.
No, I'm thinking. If I'm not mistaken, he's from England. And his dad's German and his mom's black. Now how's that for a fact check? Look that up.
I do know that the parents are.
I do know that you have your cell phone out, and Mr. Royal has his mind.
He's South African, so don't trust the mind.
I know. I said his dad was German and his mom was black. Could you please read that?
Okay.
No, read it. No. I want you to.
South African comedian, writer, producer. All this other great stuff. He's the host.
Trevor, man, come follow our show. Look out for me, Trevor. You're one of the good ones, bro. Come look out for me.
His parents were Patricia and Robert Noah. I don't want to go too. All right, well, I'm there now.
His mom used to have to walk down the street,
she's South African,
and his dad is Swiss or German.
He is not important enough to have a
I don't
anything
care.
about him.
But I
So
knew something.
He does look German-esque.
Oh, now there
Okay.
you go. You killed it. What he looks like. There we go. Because they
Yeah.
all look alike. There we go. All right, we're gonna cut that part out. All right. So next question. So I'm now what, 1 for 2?
We'll just say you're winning. You're doing well. I've
I'll
lost
take it.
track.
Okay.
Number 10. Chadwick Boseman was the first and only person considered for the role of T'Challa.
Incorrect. Actually, if you think about this guy, let me take a look. What was his name? I don't know. Sam Wilson. And go ahead and tell me I'm wrong. Sam Wilson was considered. Don't worry, guys. I'm setting him up. Blurred. Something to throw it off the backboard. Don't worry.
Who's Sam Wilson?
Sam Wilson's the Falcon.
Is this a real person?
Oh, it's a real person. Sam Wilson's the Falcon.
Okay.
And who's the Falcon played by?
I have no idea. I don't
Anthony
know.
Mackie, who was also considered for the role. Oh, yes, he was.
No.
Yes, he. Okay, guys, now it's time to go see who's right, Durden or Royal. Let's do the meter right here. Royals right, 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 Royals right.
Anthony Mackie doesn't care if the Black Panther
Man, I don't
is
care.
black.
No, you no.
They didn't get a horse to direct.
A horse? What are you saying?
I didn't say this. Anthony Mackie said this.
He said what?
Anthony Mackie calls out MCU racism.
No, that's not what we're doing. He's trying to mind y'all. I asked y'all, Anthony Mackie considered for Black Panther. Hold on.
All I'm saying is Chadwick Boseman was the first and only considered.
Nope. Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Why you gotta disrespect the man in death?
I'm not. Why you gotta respect the lie in life? Hold on. Now, I will say this, Durden.
Okay.
Now, I will say this. Now, while Chadwick Boseman was probably Marvel's only choice, there were a couple of people who tried to throw their names in the hat.
There's probably a lot of people that wanted.
Well,
I know
notable names.
Wesley Snipes wanted to play.
Oh, I like that, but you know why they wouldn't let him do it?
Oh, when he was already Blade.
Correct. That's 100% correct. I mean, that's not the only reason. That's the overall.
I'm sure there are other personality reasons because on Blade Trinity he refused to even open his eyes for a lot of the scenes. They had to digitally CGI his eyes in, looking at Ryan Reynolds and because he did not. He was so over it, and just. I don't know.
It's funny you bring up Blade. I mean, it's funny you bring up Wesley Snipes. I'm just going to say one thing: Money Train. That'll be important later in the episode, guys. You'll see why.
All right.
Can you figure out why? Can you see what I'm doing here?
All right. I can't find that right off the top, but
I've dropped 2 Easter eggs for the episode. TG. Fast forward. Then I said Money Train. I wonder if Durden knows what's going on yet. He's a smart guy. We'll figure it out.
Oh, I'm trying to think. You got Woody Harrelson, Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, don't worry about it. No, we keep going.
Okay.
No, keep going.
All right. Number 8. Oh, Wesley Snipes. Here we go. Wesley Snipes tried to get a Black Panther film produced in 1992. Even with the completed script, the project never made it past development. That was back in, actually, 1992, which is when Black Panther opens up.
I knew that, which fun fact, that was a good fun fact, but I knew that and I've known that for quite some time. And here's why I don't have a problem with that. I am against, I don't care. I hate, and I absolutely mean hate as a fan of film and that being an actor myself, I 100% hate when the same actor, no matter how great they are allowed to play multiple characters in the same universe of big titles. I mean, and I'm not even, listen, everybody knows what I'm talking about. The elephant in the room is Chris Evans.
Are you talking about Samuel L. Jackson?
No, I'm talking about Chris Evans. When he's Captain America, and he's, of course, also Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four. Both are Marvel properties. He was Johnny Storm before he was Captain America. Not only just him, they've done this several times. Ryan Reynolds has been Green Lantern. He's been Deadpool. He was definitely Deadpool, but no. He was you're making me mess up. He was Weapon X, which was also Deadpool, Weapon X. So those were the same character. He was Green Lantern.
Yeah, but Green Lantern, they just swept that under the rug. That's like never happened.
It happened. You know why? Because guess who plays in that? Angela Bassett, who plays in what? Black Panther. So they can't sweep it under the rug.
All right, so this one, number 7, Gambino jokes. Did you know that Donald Glover was called in to write some of the jokes in Black Panther? In the DVD commentary, Ryan Coogler revealed that Glover wrote at least one of Suri's jokes. In the scene where they're calling out for someone to challenge T'Challa's place on the throne, Suri raises her hand, but only to complain about how tight her shit is. Can they wrap this shit up? That was actually written by Donald Glover.
I did not know that, and you know how much respect I have for Donald Glover, but I could have saved him a lot more money and came up with something a lot funnier.
Yeah, they were. I mean, yeah, they were called in.
Yeah, it's cool. That's cool because I'm gonna call you in.
All right, number 6, Oakland, Black Panther. Okay, so this we kind of already covered, but I'm gonna say it again just for the sake of this segment. Black Panther doesn't just visit Oakland for the of it. It holds double significance in that it is director Ryan Coogler's birthplace and also where the Black Panther Party formed in 1966. All right.
Very good.
We'll move on to...
I didn't know that. Royals keeping up here. Royals keeping up.
And this is another one that we covered already, but number 5, No Relation, Young Zuri. Shuri.
Which one? No, Zuri.
I cannot. Young Zuri is played by Denzel Whitaker. Old Zuri is played by Forrest Whitaker.
No relation.
And you can forgive yourself for assuming that. They are as related as T'Challa and Killmonger in the comics, of course. The Whitakers actually did play father and son in The Great Debaters. So I was bringing up, let's see, we got that in there? No. Okay, so, yeah, no relation. Eric Killmonger and T'Challa are cousins in the film.
Correct.
In the comics, no relation at all.
None whatsoever.
Okay. Number 3, the accent. Originally, Marvel was against Chadwick Boseman using an accent. In an interview with Hollywood Reporter's Awards Chatter podcast, Boseman said he felt strongly about having an accent.
Let me just stop you right there. That's just a Hollywood way of verbal whitewashing. I'm just calling it for what it is. They basically did, and I'm not stopping you, but I've done so much research on it that was a deal breaker for him. He was prepared to not put...
It was literally a deal breaker
and I didn't see that. He was not going to do it because it's that you can't say in Black Panther and we're in Wakanda and I'm talking like I'm from San Francisco, or I'm talking how articulately I'm talking right now. It can't be done. But if I tell you I'm the prince and I can make it happen, if I played a king twice. I've been James Brown, damn it, the king of soul. And now I am Wakanda. I am T'Challa, the king of Wakanda. I am two kings at once. And I'll say play Jackie Robinson. Damn it. I'm a martyr. I'm a man for the times.
And he was asked why the accent was important to him, and he actually had a very good, like, character-driven backstory for it. He was like, somebody with a European accent's not going to be born into the throne of Wakanda or any place in Africa. They're not, unless it was colonized, and Wakanda has never been colonized. That's what makes it important.
But that's what made it believable. The story, see, and that's where character development and story writing comes in. You have to have several people in the room to flesh out those ideas. And the reason why I say that, guys, is if you're ever doing a film, think about it this way. Just at a subconscious level, what drove a bigger diversity and developed the characters of T'Challa as well as Eric Killmonger is Killmonger was that Americanized version of someone from Wakanda, a la like his father was. See, his father still had his accent, but notice when the movie came on, he was saying, I said, what we gonna do? We gonna come around the corner, we gonna do this right there. They were able, that's like being bilingual. You could speak American and Wakandan. So Killmonger he never spoke Wakandan because even though he heard his father say it, he was not from there. So it shows you their different upbringings. It's more to character development. So it gotta be a deal breaker. Come on, man.
He said if he compromised there, he saw it as like a slippery slope and compromises for the sake of making people feel
when you're talking about slippery slopes, before I hate to stop you right there, but just on that same fact, since we're talking about it, that's what caused Ava DuVernay and F. Gary Gray F. Gary Gray dropped out for obligation reasons to other films, but when it comes to Ava, she dropped out because of creative differences. So you're talking about you have a chance to be a part of Marvel, but I want you guys to understand as filmmakers, there are independent filmmakers, there's industry filmmakers, but you got to decide which one you are and what you're willing to compromise. As a filmmaker, when you put your name on a film, that's your film. So it's all about what you're willing to give up. They didn't say that Ryan Coogler fought for the accent. They said it was a deal breaker for Chadwick Boseman. And at a certain point, you got to stand up for your rights, guys. You got to stand up for what you believe in as an actor. So, yeah.
Number 2, what are those?
All right. I know what that is. I'll go ahead and help you out. That is from a YouTube phenomenon. I don't know the year. I think it was circa 2015.
It's actually Vine.
Vine.
Oh, man.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
yeah,
hey,
remember
MySpace
that?
is still sponsoring us, so, hey.
Officer, I got one question for you. What are those?
Yes, but it is from that, and it's so dope, and I'll tell you, it was dope. It's from that video that got like 1 billion views or whatnot, and so when they brought it into the film, you can't just throw a line into a film. It has to make sense. And the line that references the film is when he said, I thought I would go old school for the first day. And she was like, no. And then basically.
This is, of course, in the scene where Suri is showing him the new shoes, the new suit, and everything.
But you know what she calls them?
Well, in that she's referencing Back to the Future Part 2. She says,
the old American movie that Baba used to watch.
Yeah.
I got the script too in my head.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So number 1, Wakanda Forever. So do you know where the salute was inspired from?
I'm gonna dig deep on this, and guys, if I can get this, I just want it to be certified. I just want to be
I'll give you hints.
I don't want to hear anything. I don't want any hints.
I don't want you.
I don't want any hints. I'm not looking at anything. I don't want any hints. First off, let me tell you this.
It's not a hint.
First off,
it's not a hint.
It means hug in certain cultures.
Okay, that's 1.
Can I go now?
2 more. Yeah.
I've only got 1 more for you.
Okay.
It means hug in certain cultures. Number 2, that's how they used to, if I'm not mistaken here, when they used to lie to us and tell us that all these Egyptian kings were white and all this pharaoh and all this other crap, whatever. But that's how they used to bury the Egyptians. They used to have their hands buried like that. Now I do know those are the 2 things. I don't know the third thing, but I will say this because I don't want the third thing to be something I miss and he said. I want to make sure I'm not gonna lie. I have to go back and look at my notes on this, and I do know it. I just want to make sure I'm not. Nope, I already know it. I'm not gonna look. If you want to know where the term Wakanda came from, actually. Wakanda is actually based off a real village called Wakamba, and Wakamba is a region of Kenya. So that whenever you say Wakanda Forever, it actually comes from Wakamba. So that may not be his third fact, but at least I got 2 out of 3. And guys, give you boys some credit.
Those were the solid 2. Yeah, hit the applause. The last one was it's based on a lot of West African sculptures.
Did not know
history.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that is Big Fikes.
Hey, guys! I told you we did. Hey, tell them we don't discuss this pre-hand, do we? We don't.
No. This was not. You wouldn't allow me to discuss this. You wouldn't even look at the videos that I sent you of me taking the notes of this.
Well, yeah, this is true.
So next up is 7 Minutes in Heaven. This is where we each throw out our top 3 scenes from the movie. I have 2 honorable mentions and 3 scenes because it was too hard to decide, so forgive me.
That's what she said.
First honorable mention is the credit scene where T'Challa addresses the United Nations. I thought that was badass, especially how they ended it with like his, again, that quiet, subtle power that he has where they're like, what does Wakanda have to offer us? And he doesn't even have to say anything. It's all implied in his look, his smirk, and it ends on that. It sets up, I'll get to what it sets up.
All right, hold on. You want to the second one now?
My second honorable mention is when T'Challa confronts his father and the ancestors, and when he screams at them that they were wrong. That was, I thought, a very powerful point in the movie, a very powerful point for his character, like his character arc, where he begins to change a little bit.
I like it.
All right, so here's my top 3 scenes. All right, number 3, when Suri is showing T'Challa the gadget she's working on, she gives him the demonstration, showing the power of the new suit. One, I just think that when you get kind of like a how it's made in a feature film, like a little mini episode of how it's made, that always interests me. But then they threw in the humor in it where when she tells him to kick the suit, and he looks at her, he's like, "Why are you recording?" It's for research purposes. And he's about to get knocked across the room. And as soon as he does, delete that footage, and she's not going to, it goes right back to the middle finger she throws up at him. It sets up this, as much as he's a king, is a superhero, he's also still a brother. And to have that trifecta in one character, and he portrayed it perfectly, he balanced those 3 dynamics so perfectly, where, I've seen some people there's no way that, sister or not, she could flip off the king of Wakanda, or about to be king of Wakanda, and just get away with it in front of everybody. Yeah, she could, because it sets up this, family is first in this, even above politics, above any kind of respect to royalty or anything like that. It's brother and sister first, and then king and...
Even with Nakia, when she talked to Okoye and said, "What are you loyal to?" She said, "The throne." He said, "What are you loyal to?" She said, "I serve T'Challa." To her, it was I know this is innately wrong, but I still serve what I feel is good.
Mm-hmm. All right, my number 2 is the whole action sequence in the club. That shot that, I know it's not one shot, but they did a really good job of making it look like it's one shot, where they go from one action sequence to the next inside the club, and it culminates with T'Challa and Claw having the showdown, and then he pulls out the arm gun.
Arm cannon.
That was
yes.
badass. Right into the car chase, all that whole sequence from the fight in the club to the car chase, where they showed the technology of his sister being able to drive the car.
Talk about
from
the
another
agility
country.
of that scene. Like when they really talk about a Panther, like you have Iron Man with his suit, you have Thor with his hammer, you have Hulk getting big. But this was, other than Spider-Man, this is the first time where Marvel had to show true cat-like ability, and you saw it, him running up walls, clawing stuff, and like defying gravity. Like
When I watched that, my first instinct was, this is some subpar effects. But then I look at the behind the scenes, and it wasn't even effects. I'm just not used to seeing something real like that actually happening. There was actually stunt doubles on top of the cars flying through South Korea's like real streets closed off for this production for a few weeks, and I already like the scene because I mean it ends on that hilarious note where Lupita comes. The car explodes. She comes like skidding up, still sitting in the driver's seat, holding the steering wheel. They're both unfazed. They get up and just continue on. That whole
talk about the best
badass.
Bluetooth ever invented.
Yeah.
No, not with her, but with Suri. What was Suri doing?
Oh shit! That's what I was saying. That technology where she's driving the car from a different continent. That's insanity. With her brother on top, like you ever play like Cruising USA and you feel like the stakes are high.
Mm-hmm.
Your brother is not on top of the car in Cruising USA, and if you crash, it could be his devastation.
But what most people don't realize, it's also a callback to another popular 1980 movies.
You got me.
No, I don't. Teen Wolf.
Oh shit! Okay.
I did my research, and that's a royal fact. That's not on the internet. Put that on their Wikipedia.
And my number one scene that I feel like that if I could do away with the rest of the movie and have one moment, one section of it, it would be from the point that Killmonger shows up with the body, confronts the council, challenges T'Challa, fights T'Challa in the the Warrior Falls. He fights him there. He kills Forrest Whitaker. He beats the shit out of T'Challa.
Spoiler alert, jeez.
Beats the shit out of him, screaming, "Is this your king?" That was like devastating. That whole moment, it reminded me. It took me back to like every time Heath Ledger would be on the screen in A Dark Knight. It was just this feeling of, this dude is over the edge. Anything is possible. This is so interesting to watch.
It's funny you bring that scene up because most people don't realize this, is that when he became king, it was a rising sun of him, and when him and M'Baku fought, and basically it was a rise of the sun, so you saw him ascending to being king. When he fought Killmonger impromptu later on in the movie, you saw the sun setting on a dynasty, setting on everything that was going on. So it's funny you bring that. It's not funny, it's just, you bring that scene up, and it's like, I can see why that's one of your favorite scenes, because like I say, when you're doing a film, guys, it's not about just writing something. When the same way people learn differently. Some people learn visually by touching things, seeing things, feeling things. A film is the same way. You have to make people feel all of these emotions. So if you want a really great film with crossover appeal, you have to appeal to people who need visual dopamine. You have to appeal to people who need, that writing was amazing. Then people like me, look at that acting. Oh my goodness, you made me forget I was watching Tarion Royal or Will Smith or Denzel or Sidney Poitier. You made me forget I watched these people, and you fall into the character.
Yeah. So that's my 3 scenes. What do you got?
All right, let's go on to Royal's bag of tricks. All right, so listen. All right, so he's all in this notebook as if I wrote all this today, and the ink is the same dry way. That's what he's really doing. Okay, all right. My first scene is titled Okoye Gets Loose. Now, I am going to dive into the scene to where what happens is okay, so the 5 tribes of Wakanda has all decided that they want to, they've universally decided that they're going to go out through Ulysses Claw. And so what they have to do, they have to go to find Ulysses Claw. So 3 people are sent on this mission. There is Nakia, there is Okoye, and there is King T'Challa. So they all go on this mission, and so fast forward, they get into this club, which he mentioned earlier, and like he says, he said it was a culmination of the scene. To me, I definitely pre-ejaculated in this scene because of the fact of one reason and one reason alone. Okoye. Okoye in this scene, see, what you got to understand for me is crossover appeal. And so sometimes the same way I say a movie can cross over to not just being a superhero film, but being an actual great film, I did not see a female warrior superhero in that scene. I saw, to quote Samuel Jackson, to Tim Roth and Samuel Jackson, which while it is the one to say bad mother. Like, it's like she was such a bad mother in this scene. People, you don't understand the discipline that went into this scene. I mean, she made my left nipple fully hard and my right nipple slightly erect. What I'm trying to tell you is, so Okoye, who is the head of the Dora Milaje, goes on this mission. So she, first and foremost, beautiful. She has on this wig for the only time in the film you see her with this wig. So she's like, she's going Nakia, going undercover, which she's completely uncomfortable with, which she mentions later on in the movie. Like, you are a spy. I cannot simply come and leave.
She throws that wig off the first second. As soon as they're found out.
The first not only throws it, but uses it as a weapon at that. So my point is, and he's 100% correct. So as you see, she not only is she communicating, like running this mission, keeping everybody, she's keeping T'Challa and Nakia in check, who's trying to after the mission. Clearly they tried to like will the king be seeing you later? Depends on how the mission goes. Guys, keep your, so she's keeping them in check. So fast forward to the reason why I'm saying it's one of my top scenes of the film. She immediately goes from trying to portray being a spy, but still being the queen of, the queen, if you don't, I can't even say queen, take that out. Being the queen warrior of Wakanda that she is, the most fiercest warrior of Wakanda, she immediately out of nowhere goes, I don't even know what to say. She goes nuclear war, Hiroshima on the entire freaking club. Her spear apparently got some version of extends that no one knows about, and she comes out of nowhere. She, as he mentioned, used her hair as a weapon. She jumps from at least 6 floors up, down with, now her shoes are off. Nobody knows that. She had on shoes when they got in there. The time the Sabrina with the nose hit the floor, she was not around. I mean, she did some Kill Bill like when she went and fought the Crazy 88 or some like that. She was not off. She left the club. The next thing you know, she was on top of the car too. She was in the, like, if it was not for what she, listen, even Nakia says it later in the movie, you are the fiercest warrior Wakanda has known. Like seriously, like a woman. So she was a more fierce warrior than King T'Challa himself. Now, yes, when he takes the herb, he's stronger and faster than her. But without that herb, the strongest warrior in Wakanda is Okoye. So that would be my one of my top 3 scenes.
So really, yeah, we're kind of on the same page there.
Awesome, definitely. So number 2. Okay, so we kind of touched on this earlier. So one of my other scenes that really stood out to me is when Eric Killmonger gets not captured by, he surrenders to the Border Tribe after he brings Ulysses Claw to one of the Border Tribe members whose parents in the film were killed by Ulysses Claw. Now in the comic book, T'Challa's parents were killed by Ulysses Claw, but they changed it for the film. So not that scene, but in particular, but it's when they go into the royal room, if you will, no pun intended, to where there's T'Challa, there's the other 4 leaders of the other tribes. There's T'Challa's mom, his sister, Okoye, everybody's there. And so here you have this moment to where for the first time the protagonist meets the antagonist, the villain meets the hero. Because to me, like he said, there's no villain in this film. There's just different various degrees of how should we get this done. And to me, that's why it makes what transcends this film from a superhero film. Strip away all the powers, all the FX, all the CGI, whatever you want to call it, all the marketing. It's a film talking about, while we may not agree how we see change happening, we both agree we want change. Mm-hmm. So when you strip all of that away, that's why this can be a standalone movie. But again, one of my favorite top 3 scenes was when Eric Killmonger, and King T'Challa meet for the first time. Because, see, T'Challa has already been told the truth. See, that's what they don't talk about. He knew who Eric Killmonger is. And even when called to the challenge to say, Ask me who I am. Ask me who I am. He turned his back on him because he did what his father did. He chose to omit the lie. Omit the truth. I'm sorry. Well, for all my women out there, I'm gonna look out for my women out there. That's a man line. I chose to omit I chose to admit the truth that So my point is this. So T'Challa turned his back. It was not until another strong member of another tribe who could speak at this tribal meeting said, translation, who are you? And then that's when Michael B. Jordan says, this is who I am. So look at that. That's why I say earlier when we talked about it, you say the character wasn't fleshed out. In his one moment of rage, when Michael B. Jordan's character, Eric Killmonger, could have walked in there and said, I'm such and such son. I deserve the throne. I deserve this. It showed his calculation to say, I'm not going to do it. Checkmate. You ask me who I am. And then I'm going to tell you. And guess what? I got the trump card. When she says, that cannot be true. And what did my boy say from the border tribe? I'm sorry, it's true, Queen Mother. He walks up and says it is true. So he had the ace in the hole. He not only did he not say anything, he already had the case won. So don't tell me that his character was not fleshed out. Black blogger, you have to do the research and see all the writings in place to see what happened. So that was one of my top two scenes. You want to?
We're like we're 2 for 2 now.
We are, and we didn't tell them truthfully. We did no research together.
No, nothing was done together.
Not at all. We didn't. Like you said, I wouldn't let them discuss it. Number 3. Now this may be different. It should be. Hopefully, it gives a little difference here. Okay, I know this one has to be different. So, we touched on it earlier at the first battle. The battle that Zuri said takes weeks to prepare. So at that first battle, if you notice, M'Baku came from the Jabari, and that was, if you paid attention at the beginning of the movie, Wakanda was with 5 tribes. 4 of the tribes stayed together. One of the tribes decided to go do their own thing, kind of like how we are in the United States of America. A bunch of people want to do stuff one way, certain places want to do things other. So with that being said, how it relates to Marvel, this is why it's one of the most powerful scenes. M'Baku, who is of royal heritage, has the right to challenge. He shows up to the challenge late, in fashion, as we do. That's how we gonna do it. When I say we, anybody with style or fashion, whatever. So,
and his name is Jabari.
Whatever that means, Google me. Whatever. So with that being said, so he comes to the challenge, and eventually, of course, everybody knows the story. They fight, but my point is this: so he interrupts the king's day. He does it purposely late. Like when you talk about what Killmonger, how they didn't flesh him out, and M'Baku came over that way for me. But when he does those things, before he can even get done talking, T'Challa, which he never does, never disrespectful, interrupts. Because remember, he said, a man who could not protect his own father. So instead of brashfully coming out like, man, you, all this other what does he say? He lets M'Baku keep telling him, I accept your challenge. Glory to honor, man. So then they fight. They have a good battle. And at the end, when T'Challa, unlike Killmonger, don't tell me they didn't develop the characters, could have killed M'Baku. What does he say? He's like, please, man, yield. Yeah. Your people need you, which goes a long way to say, I don't care what our differences are. I don't have to kill you. I can still defeat you and let you know I'm still going to do my thing, but your people still need you because your people are supposed to be my people. That scene was so powerful that people just shove it across because Killmonger didn't exercise that same. He was so filled with blood and vengeance and hate that he chose to kill.
Yeah, that was an awesome scene.
So there we go. So those are my top 3.
And YouTube. I really like the dynamic of was it the Jabari tribe?
Yeah, the Jabari.
Okay. Yeah, that like him specifically, that whole dynamic. Like at first they come off as like traditionalists. They don't want any kind of evolution to take place. No advancements or anything like that. Like they kind of like when he first comes out talking about all that, he reminded me of like Republicans. It was like, oh, is this the right wing? Is this the Tea Party of Wakanda coming out to challenge? But then, as his character develops and he starts to realize that T'Challa is not just par for the course as far as things go in the hierarchy of Wakanda.
But when he realized that though, correct? When he
came in there and he said that when he came for help,
correct?
He was like,
correct.
But the crazy thing about him is that he saved his life before that moment.
But why he told him why? A life for a life. He said it.
Yeah.
He said a life for life. But what's crazy is he said a life for his life, but he also called him out and says, no king in the past, has ever come here and tried to offer anything. You guys have hit the vibranium for us while you advanced. We haven't. Now, from what T'Challa's point, he was like, "Well, that's because y'all decided to do y'all own thing. We tried to tell y'all unity was better." So it's kind of like they were bickering. But what he says, I cannot speak for past kings, and that's what changed M'Baku's mind to show up at the end of that battle. Not only for the end of that battle, for that battle. For the battle in Infinity War and the battle in Endgame. He got M'Baku for 3 more movies just off doing the right thing, or 2 more movies for doing the right thing. Now go check that out, Blurs.
All right, so that concludes 7 Minutes in Heaven. Let's move on to scene stealers, who our best actors or actresses are.
So, for the film, we had a star-studded cast. I mean, dude, you cannot make this up. I mean, when you really talk about this cast, goodness graciousness now. I mean,
I'll let you know. I've got 4 honorable mentions because I couldn't and the winners because I couldn't nail it down to just one without at least mentioning a few.
you remind me of Tim the Two-Man Taylor. You can't nail it down. Boom. See what I did there? So when you're talking about a star-studded cast, now I want to be one of the ones, I have to be honest, when they say, oh, this is the first cast in years with an all-black cast. It's not an all-black cast. I mean, clearly there are other actors here that were in the film. But when they do talk about the star power that it says, I challenge you to go back and look at any Marvel film. Now, mind you, I'm just not talking about, these are just black actors. No, they're not black actors. They're actors. They're artists. When we go back and check any Marvel film to see how many true artists that I'm finna name, yeah, I said it, Fenta. I can say that from Wakanda, sort of. So with that being said, this film had and featured and honored and showed love and commemoration to Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, Danai Gurira, Daniel Kaluuya, Letitia Wright, Winston Duke, Sterling Brown, Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker. I mean, guys, come on. I'm sorry. I saw Iron Man. I saw Terrence Howard. I saw. I get it. Don Cheadle. I saw him. I get it. I saw the Tobey Maguires of the world. I said, listen, not knocking. I'm just saying that's star power. A lot of it. So with that being said, my best artist award, as I like to call it, because artist, I don't want to say, actor or actress, goes to Miss Head of the Dora Milaje, Danai Gurira, Miss Okoye.
All right.
You win my first award for best artist in this film for several reasons. What I look for when I look for an artist to bring something to me, it's about what is the challenge, what is the degree of difficulty of doing a role. And so one of the hardest things you can do, like as an actor and an actress or an artist, you fight for someone to recognize you as someone. And then when you reach a certain arc, what can happen, especially as a kid, you can get typecast. It's worse for kids. Adults can break out, but kids rarely do it. Like even Harry Potter is still dealing with trying to break free of Harry Potter, even though he did a hell of a job, and Now You See Me Too, but that's for another day. With that being said, she was so famously known, and is so famously known for the character in The Walking Dead. I mean, synonymous. She would have never had to do Black Panther. And you could not she went from a black woman with dreads, like locks down to her back, to a bald-headed woman. You can't even go to the extreme. So she does this. Now, mind you, so she does this. So you're already at a deficit because we know you is one thing. Mm-hmm. The hardest thing for an actor to do is to reinvent himself and make you believe that they're different. So she's already known, and now she has to play the head of the Dora Milaje. So to me, the one word came to mind why I gave her best artist of the film. Range.
Yeah.
What did I see you do throughout the film? If you were just a warrior, the badass warrior, you don't get this award from me. Mm-hmm. If you're just some helpless chick, you just don't get that from me. If you're some vengeful female, you don't get that from me. If you're just some token black woman who's birth feeding and being the conscious, that you don't get that from me. But when you have to talk about her character, she showed that she could be a wife to the head of the border tribe. But at the end of the day, the moment that husband, who she honored and cherished and loved, threatened Wakanda, she did not doubt for a second to kill him.
Yeah.
That's number one. Warrior. She was known by Nakia Nakia called her the fiercest warrior Wakanda had known. She didn't even hesitate. She didn't stutter T'Challa's name. So now I'm getting all, my mind is going to another level. Then friend. She was one of T'Challa's best friends. So imagine how hard it had to hurt her when she said, I am loyal to the throne. After she just saw her friends. She wasn't friendly with anybody else in this film other than T'Challa. And the one person she took off her cool from, shout out Andre 3000, the one person she took off her cool for was T'Challa. So now she's lost her friend. Leader. She led the most fiercest warrior tribe the world has ever seen. Willing to die for their king, the leader. Protector. And for my Game of Thrones fans, she was the hand of the king. She was right there on his side every single moment. Even when he didn't need it. Okay, yeah, I can handle this. Don't freeze. I got this. Like, we don't need whatever you trying to do. We don't even need that type of pressure tonight. Yeah. We're good. And lastly but not least, she showed her loyalty at the end of the day. As much as she loved T'Challa, loved Wakanda, she was loyal to Wakanda above anything. She told Nakia, I am loyal to the throne.
Yeah.
So basically, why she wins Best Artist for me is no other character throughout that film was either written or performed their duties to a range of what I would like to accept as you already brought in that as a deficit because we knew you from The Walking Dead. You made me forget everything about The Walking Dead. You went from dreads to bald head, and you acted the fucking out of that part.
And it just goes to show her range because usually if you're going to show compassion, it's at the expense of looking less weak badass.
Yeah.
She was able to toe that line perfectly where you felt like she could be a protector or just kill you in a blink of an eye. And you never question either way.
Okay. So what do you think? So is you cool with that?
Yeah,
I'm not saying you have to agree. I'm just asking.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. But at the end of the day,
we disagree.
We're gonna have to pick one between my main.
Well, we're not gonna pick. Shouldn't we let them pick?
No.
I got the females on my side, so you know I'm gonna win. So it's okay.
All right, but let me get the 4 honorable mentions out of the way.
Jesus Christ! I brought Beyonce. He brought Destiny's Child. Go ahead. Oh my goodness.
You're talking about range. I have to bring up Lupita. Because it may not have been range alone in Black Panther, but when you see her in Little Monsters, Us, Black Panther, I mean, her range alone in Us, from the tethered version to the real version of her, that was insane. But to see her go from, like, comedic action in Little Monsters, where she's borderline a damsel in distress, but also badass, to Us, where she's both badass and the damsel in distress, and then Black Panther, where the range was just great. So I was impressed, intrigued by her characters. And it's not just because I want to run away with her. Sterling K. Brown. All right, so whenever any other actor walks onto a set and they see Sterling K. Brown there, they immediately must be like, man, damn it. There's nobody, like, all this somebody has to say is, all right, Sterling K. Brown, we need tears. And he's just immediately, like, waterfalls. It's insane, his ability to cry on demand. And, you know, I knew him from not Life in Pieces. It's another one of those network shows that's
ER?
all about.
Was that on ER?
No, it's the one with Mandy Moore, the Crockpot murder. It always slips my mind because
he's a very underrated actor. He's definitely a thespian. If you haven't shot at Sterling K. Brown, if you haven't really dove into his career, talk about underrated. I mean,
but to
Jesus
open
Christ.
up the movie with him was a really good choice because you're like, all right, this is already on a different level. This is a movie that's reaching beyond just a superhero film. It's going for depth and drama and like real life emotion.
But that's why I don't agree when people say that they just made Killmonger this matriarch or something like that, because again, his dad was so powerful. They letting the first sound you hear in the whole movie is from the stepdad, not the step. You know what I'm saying? Like it's from. I'll
prove it to you that I have no problem with Killmonger because it's on my paper here. it's not my issue with Killmonger's story, character development, or anything like that. I just feel like they got him to third base as far as character development, and when it was time for him to run home, they tripped him.
We know why that happened, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, and that's why that's where that black blogger was going, was because at the end of the day, they set him up to be the you know, where any black American could say, I identify with Killmonger. That's who I am. That's who I grew up with.
But what's wrong with that?
No, nothing's wrong with that until it gets to the point where he's running from third base to home, and there's just this, it's almost out of character for him because he got what he wanted, and then he goes extreme to where he's hurting the people that, like, he went from being a very, very well fleshed out villain who wasn't even really a villain to the third act becoming your stereotypical villain, where I'm just going to damn the world and destruction and chaos.
But no, to me, that's the beautiful part of it. That's where Ryan Coogler comes in as a director. Think about his films from Fruitvale Station to Creed. He didn't do Creed 2, so for you out there, guys, just come on, do some research. But that's where I say, don't just, sometimes Easter eggs are found more just in films. They're found in the film process. And to me, Ryan Coogler was an Easter egg that was found in this film process, because with what you just said, with Michael B. Jordan pairing this character and Eric Killmonger, and like you say, they set him up. Here's the easy, what they did was they showed you that at the end of the day, if all you seek is revenge, you will never find love. He never got an opportunity to fully develop and receive love. So he never knew how to, hey, once I get here, let me balance it out. Because guess what? His dad's teaching, his lessons were cut short. Mm-hmm. So his character was fleshed out. At like 9 or 10 years old, his dad was ripped from his life. So while he was beginning to receive and see love, all in his environment, he saw killing every day. He saw not having every day. He saw his dad telling you, we're from heaven, but we're living in hell. So most of his childhood life, in which is where the brain is formulated here in most of the younger parts of your life, all he saw was negativity. Mm-hmm. So you can't tell me his character wasn't fleshed out at the end. I think it's by happy accident. I don't think Marvel went this deep. I do think it's by happy accident.
He's coming around third base, and he's like,
but how did he trip?
Just as close to redemption.
Show me when he was,
because he's just as close to redemption as he is to total chaos and destruction, and he got nudged the other way.
If you saw education and for majority of your life, for let's say that they came when he was 10 or 12. He saw education for majorities. He saw 80% education, 20% love. The moment when he could understand the education and maybe the love was coming, it was ripped away from him. So I cannot blame him for saying, I want to see my people liberated by any cost, because he ran into people that looked like him that didn't understand in the States.
No, so, I believe everything I believe his actions. I believe he has a reason for the act. The writers did a good job in setting up the third act. I just wish they would have set it up, tweaked a few things so that the third act could transpire a little bit differently and be a redemption story. Like, oh man, you thought this was the villain. No, this is not the villain. This is we just snuck an origin story for another superhero, for an advocate.
But they did do that. That's the beautiful part about it. He did not die. At the end of the day, he acknowledged like good move, cousin, which I thought was a little cheesy. They're trying to wrap it up. But even me and you've done the research, and here's the thing: they were shortchanged. Now they were not shortchanged in the budget. Let's be fair to the film. The budget was $200 million.
They were shortchanged on time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And confines of the story, which is why Ava decided not to do the film. And like I say, F. Gary Gray, who did Fate of the Furious, had another project to do. So, but with that being said, they were shortchanged on time. However, I have to be honest. Like, we both agreed that we did not like the final. The film was so significant and awesome up until the arc of the action at the end. Anything could have happened at the end, but we both agree that we don't like that. So
all right. So my next honorable mention is Letitia Wright. Her portrayal of Shuri is one of my favorite things about the movie. Easily, the energy that she brings to the movie, it kind of brought me back to Patrice in Coming to America, like the sister.
Oh,
something about her reminded me of. It was something about her character.
Why does she always get the good ones?
Like, she was this beautiful vacation from all of the troubles that come with the plot you're following. You just kind of get to take a break and have these moments with her that are like, one, it humanizes everybody, but yeah, she was great. And then last honorable mention goes to Winston Duke as M'Baku. Just the way, I think if anybody else would have played that character, it may not have come out as well. Like the way that that character naturally progressed from somebody that was like not an enemy of T'Challa, but they were not, they were at odds, to someone that ends up, when he comes running in and saves the day like Ex Machina style at the end, in the end fight scene.
Witness the power of the Jabari, and
That-
you. If you say one more word, I will feed you to my children. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm a vegetarian.
Number one though, the if I had to give an award to one person, it would be Michael B. Jordan, because every scene he is in draws you in, because he has this I'm sorry, he has this intensity, like, and I can understand why you feel,
so you understand
because
that. You understand
it's like
that.
real recognizing real. You bring that intensity, so you must feel like, why the hell am I not in his position? I recognize.
Well, I know why I'm
intensity
not in
he's
his
bringing.
position.
But
I have a problem that I'm
but
working
can you
on.
disagree though? Like he is.
Oh, no, he brought
every
it.
scene he's in. It doesn't. He just like it's again. It's like watching Heath Ledger in The Joker, where it's like, oh, this guy is in it.
Have you seen Kill?
I've seen it. Yeah, quite a bit of it, and.
Oh, I just want to ask. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
no,
okay.
I'm not making a comparison between Michael B. Jordan and Tarian Royal. I'm just saying that in Black Panther, he is easily, whenever he was on the screen, I found myself thinking, I wish this was just a Killmonger movie. And that
I do
Black
like that.
Panther
I do like that.
Which is
That would
another
be dope.
reason,
That would be dope.
like, he's
Marvel.
such a great
Wake
villain. Like,
That would have to be. Yeah,
and I think just like with what Heath Ledger did with the Joker, the reason why the Joker was like revitalized with the Dark Knight is the same reason why Jordan's performance as Killmonger like made him such a great, like, fleshed out villain, where he was 3-dimensional. You felt like because he brought this human side of it when he was the trauma that he felt as a child. You could actually see that he wasn't just playing this angry guy that wanted revenge like some 80s action movie. When he came with the anger and the animosity, you could still see the pain and passion in his eyes and like the real human side. Like he was somebody that was hurting and lashing out. So that the way he brought that to life was amazing. And when you play a villain and convince the audience that you might be that you're the good guy or get them on your side, that's a great actor.
Hopefully I can say this and persuade you the other way, because this is where the beautiful part comes in. I've listened to all your arguments all night, and I don't disagree with what you just said. I'm not knocking with you. This is not a sarcastic twist. I'm using your own argument against yourself, because I want you to think about something. You're telling me that that at the beginning of the episode you told me that a lot of people didn't like how Eric Killmonger was portrayed in. The same argument that the blogger says, where he says that the character was not fleshed out and they made him this militant. I somewhat say that sometimes you can't let your opinions shade what you're watching, because when we want to believe something, we watch for what we want to believe. However, at the very beginning of the movie, they show a child that, again, I mentioned this earlier, that his father got killed. His father was already teaching him about the greatest place in the world while his son was living in hell. That's hard enough to deal with it on its own. Then tangle that with, you show up one day, you see this alien-looking spaceship, which f***s your mind up. Like, nobody's talking about that. They're in Compton and you see a fucking alien spaceship. It's one thing to see a drive-by, but I just saw a fucking alien spaceship. Mm-hmm. Not only that, I go upstairs and see my daddy killed with claws that look like Panther. So say all that. Okay, fast forward. Now, the first time after that we meet Eric Killmonger, he is in one of the dopest museums ever, looking highly educated with these exact glasses on. So Marvel, save some money on the glasses you buy, and just hire me as an understudy at least next time. And these things are happening. But one of the top 10, one of the top 3 out of 10 dopest lines are mentioned in that scene alone. So when we meet Eric Killmonger as an adult, we're showed how educated he is with 90 seconds. So no one can tell me his character was not fleshed out, David, because he says, I didn't even put this in my book because I've seen it and I mentally memorized it a billion times. He says, You've been watching me since I came here, but you're not you're not concerned about what you're putting in your body. That's a line for everybody that eats fast food and does all that crazy shit. You more so concerned about what I'm doing. You're not concerned about what you're putting in here. Then he educates the lady that works at the library. He was like, what's this? She was like, oh, this was discovered by British soldiers in Belize or whatnot, and blah blah. He was like, yeah, yeah, it was taken by British soldiers, but it's actually from Wakanda. She's like, excuse me? She's so offended. She don't even want to fact check this shit. This bitch, yes, yeah, this bitch is so offended that some nigga is in her museum in some country that's not America telling her about some that she done went to school and paid $100,000 for. Let's just call it for what this is. This podcast is going to be honest. So she's so offended. She refuses to believe the shit. But he don't even get dismayed by that. What does he say? But don't worry about it. He dismisses how dumb the fuck she is because she can only sees color and says, don't worry, I'm going to take it off your hands for you. And in her mind, because for some reason, she elevates her mind. I'm thinking she's going to say he think he finna steal it. For some reason, somebody told her right along the way. She says, oh, it ain't for sale. Well, I really think she did was she don't want her ass beat no more. But she says, oh, this is not for sale. He's like, nah. And then he re-educates this for the second time. So she thought she done came back from life and rechecked herself. And he says, I'm going to take it just like the British soldiers took it. What you thought this was given to you, it was taken by British soldiers. So I'm going to take it back. Mm-hmm. So he educates her 3 times with her body, where it came from, and where it's going. Now help me out again, David. What's in her body, where it's going, and where it came from. Brother, that's past, present, and future. So what I'm saying is, don't tell me, black blogger, that his character was not fleshed out. He let his anger and his greed take over at the end of the day. I do this shit. I've seen every fucking Marvel movie. All 21 or 22 movies of the Infinity Gauntlet. Several times. So while I will allow people to have their opinion, check me on the shit that I know, because I do this.
All right. So to be clear, the argument is never is Killmonger a fleshed out character. The issue that the blogger has is that it's the one character that Black America can identify with, and coincidentally, that's the villain.
That's incorrect. You don't think a bunch of America identified with T'Challa? Peaceful? Hey, I'm king of Wakanda. Hey, man, I'm king of my community. I ain't got to worry about everybody else.
And he says, you think T'Challa's letting you into his party? You ain't from there.
But that's who said that. Now, you know who said that.
That's the blogger.
No.
What?
Fucking Ulysses Claw said that. He said that while in interrogation.
But that's kind of T'Challa's. That's the establishment's way of looking at things. That's why they don't help anybody. He's like, oh, what do they do at the end of it? Set up a community center. Motherfucker, we already got community centers. You got the YMCA. That doesn't do anything. Make the change.
Let me ask you something innately, because we discussed a lot in life as friends and as filmmakers. But as a person, I've never asked you this from a film perspective, and it's combining the two. While we both agree with Killmonger's perspective, and at the end of the day, if we had to cast our ballot, we both are in the Killmonger crew. We both agree with that. With that being said, was T'Challa at the end of the day so wrong? Is he not a form of AI saying, because maybe they did show how smart he was, saying, listen, I've seen this before. It's the same thing with the Matrix. What did the machines realize? Humans were bad for themselves. Mm-hmm. Is not T'Challa a preemptive, a beta version of AI saying, I'm not king of everybody. I can only tell you what my facts say. That we don't fuck each other up, that we eat right, and that 25% of awesome is better than 70% of I don't know what the fuck happening.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking, brother. Now talk to me about that. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I think T'Challa was on the right path, but I think Killmonger was already there, and then at the end was some politically safe compromise that fell closer to T'Challa. And then he goes to the United Nations, and as exciting as that is for them to have the seat at the table, and United Nations has no idea what has even come to the table, as far as how great they are. As awesome as that scene was, it's still this you're compromising for the sake of what? What is? And I'm not talking about the story itself. I'm talking about a message that's trying to be sold by the producers, by Marvel, or by the powers that be that put this out. It's this it's kind of like a statist and status quo point of view, and be okay with that, and that's okay. But I think Killmonger's even as extreme as he was in the end, I think it would have been Like I've still fall on his side of things. I don't think there should have been diplomacy.
No, I agree with you 100%. But I think we both also agree that I wouldn't have went as far as, like you say, when he choked the lady in the heart-shaped herb garden and did those things, say burned the garden. That shows of hate. Like it shows like if you let rage control you, or if you let envy control you, that you lose sight of what it is. And so that's why I say at the end of the day, T'Challa cannot be understated. For as much as I agree with Killmonger and his ways, I don't agree with how he ended up, and I don't agree with how docile T'Challa was for most of the movie. I don't agree. Like his father was probably the perfect blend of what diplomacy was. Like I had to omit the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean that's I mean I'm sorry. Like I mean,
usual.
like you got to end on like
so between Killmonger and what's your girl's name?
without a shadow of a doubt. Apologies to my pronunciation. Shout out to Dania Garuria. And I'm pretty sure I'm doing that wrong. Charge it to my heart and consumption this evening, not my appreciation and admiration for what you do. With that being said, if I had to choose between her and Michael B. Jordan, and I'm going to choose her, but that is not an indication of what Michael B. Jordan did. Even as an actor, you only can do so much to what your part allows. That Michael B. Jordan was not allowed the range that she was allowed. He was only allowed to play maybe a 2 or 3 dimensional role, which is, if you're a great actor, it's hard, but you can do it because you're committing to the role. And he's an actor that commits to the role. When I don't see you pop up on TMZ or Media Takeout every other day, I know you're somewhere committing to your role.
Is this coming from a completely unbiased?
100% correct, because you have to understand, I knew both of them, but prior to the Black Panther film, I knew her from The Walking Dead, and I knew him from The Wire.
Yeah, I
when
know,
he first got his start.
She's not going out for any roles that you'd want in Hollywood.
Does not matter. Like at the end of the day, I may talk, but I still respect Michael B. Jordan.
All right, so
I'm sorry, man. Come on, bro. Was that not awesome? Come on, man.
I will give you this one, and because it's your pick this episode.
No, oh no, that's not fair. Now come on.
No. I
want this on the living wake. I want this on the living wake. I want all of this smoke on the living wake.
I agree with everything that you said. Like, I can't disagree with anything you said.
Okay,
Those are deeply good reasons. Okay. And I don't have those good reasons.
But no, tell me your reasons for him. I want to say I want the other side.
I pretty much presented my argument when I said him, but I agree with that, and I would like to see her. So at the end of this first season, for our final episode, we're going to take every best actor, actress, or artist that we chose, and we're going to put them all up against each other. We'll put them all, 13 actors or actresses or artists, on a whiteboard, and we will erase them each one by one until there is only one left, the best actor, actress, or artist of the entire season. So I would rather see her on there, because I feel like Michael B. Jordan would just wipe the board with whoever else we put on there, and it's going to be a washout from the get-go on episode 1.
Unless Okoye was on there, and then he won't wipe the board.
Okay, yes, again, I'll give it to you. Okay, that concludes our Scene
He's
Stealers.
Going so royal right now.
Scene Stealers segment's out. Let us know in the comments what you thought.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Click that little bell thing.
Ding!
Let us know in the comments, did we get it right? Did we get it wrong? Who'd you think was the best? All that good stuff. Argue about it in there and help our algorithm. Up next is, you're going to need a bigger boat.
Jaws reference for my 1980s kids out there.
What do you think the best line is in
Blow? Oh, wrong movie. I'm sorry.
I got 2. I had to pick 2.
That's not what you... First off, that. No, that's not what you messaged me. We had a pre-production meeting 2 weeks ago, and you told me to choose 3. So you're lying to me now?
Oh, no. That was top 3 scenes. We were only supposed to pick 1 quote, or just whatever. It's our show, man. We can do whatever we want.
Okay, let's go.
So how many do you have?
3.
Okay. All right, cool. So you do 1, I'll do 1, you do 1, I'll do 1, then you do 1. You start
Yes,
it,
sir.
you start it, and wrap it up.
Yes, sir. All right, here we go. All right, so here we go. Oh no, I'm sorry. I apologize. I did forget 1. I'm sorry. So
okay, so I'll do 1, you do 1.
Go for it. 3, 2, call it.
No, all that going in there. I ain't calling anything.
That's what she said.
All right, my first one is right at the beginning. or towards the beginning, T'Chaka, he says, you're going to struggle.
Who's T'Chaka?
Who is T'Chaka?
I have no idea. T'Challa is Chadwick Boseman. T'Chaka.
Oh, damn. You're gonna call me on a
Well, we're doing a
technicality?
professional show. I'm going to call you if you're going to pick up.
All right. That guy. T'Challa's father.
No, that is T'Chaka.
Yeah, that's who I said.
I thought you were talking about the Will Ferrell movie. Land.
No.
Go ahead.
One of us is talking about the movie that we're doing in the episode. So he says, which, man, I'm feeling this even more than ever right now. He says, you're going to struggle, so you need to surround yourself with people you trust. That is like a proverb inside the movie. I thought that was really awesome.
To me, that's something that resonates. Yet again, the film resonates to something that's not talking about culture or color or a demographic of people. What it's talking about is birds of a feather flock together. Surround yourself around. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the dumbest building. Stuff like that. Because again, you want people who are going to elevate you. Like even with me and you, the essence of what we're doing. Like they say, friendship and business don't mix, and I'm a firm believer of that. But I do believe if you're truly but if you're someone's friends first, then business comes second. So our friendship is first, but because we so much respect our craft that as friends we both know how much we care about film, that we won't let this show fail. And
when you consider like where that quote is coming from, that's coming from a man who his own brother betrayed him, and his right hand man kept a secret literally to the grave. So he had both examples of like somebody close to you that you can't trust and someone close to you that you can. So that just adds so much weight to that.
I concur, sir.
All right, what you got?
All right, so okay. To me, this hits home on so many levels. This show is about film. This show is about what we do. This show is about our lives. At the end of the day, we're here to entertain you guys. We're here to just be a guide to all you kids out there who are thinking about being filmmakers and picking up a camera and buying one and learning, going on YouTube or spending too much money at Full Sail. We love you, Full Sail, but if you had us as directors, you make more money and have less students. But that's a subject for another day. So I don't want to like preface this with anything. I'm just here to say that I am who I am. When I use the term blurred, most people will look at it and say, "Oh, you're just saying black nerd." Well, no, that's actually a thing, because it's one thing to be a nerd, which I would love to just be a nerd. I would love to just be a film geek. Unfortunately, the world I live in doesn't allow me to do that. So when the world I only paint the world that I see. So you can't, if you're not living in my world, you can't understand it. While you can empathize, you can never sympathize. Don't tell me you understand. So for me in this film, and while it hit home, to quote Doc Rivers from the LA Clippers, I wish I could just be a coach. And to me, in my sentiment, what that means, I wish I could just be an actor. I wish I could just be a director. I wish I could just be your friend. And me and you are really good friends, best friends. But at the end of the day, innately, because of the world I was programmed in, thank goodness I know how to hack life, that I can break out of those confines, and still I won't let the hatred that the world bleeds to me make me not be a friend first, be a father first, be a human first, be a film critic or a great actor first. So thankfully I can go above that. I say all that to say this: my best quote from the film comes from your best actor for the film, or your best actor of the for our first episode, Mr. Michael B. Jordan. And by me saying that, you should know that I definitely mean it. Because
I already know what you're doing.
Well, then you should have chose it then. My best line for the film goes to a gentleman who I've competed with my entire life, even though he doesn't know it. And while I've competed with him, I may talk shit about him with my friends, but publicly I have nothing but respect for this gentleman, because while I don't know him as a person as far as his acting skills, I have nothing but respect for it, because like real recognize real. So my best quote for the film of Black Panther goes to Michael B. Jordan, character-wise known as Eric Killmonger. The line was, "Bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships, because they knew death was better than bondage." To me, As he mentioned earlier in the episode, I had a lot of quotes prior to this that I thought were super awesome, funny, and clever, but I. What do you want me to tell you? You want me to look in this camera and be super happy that I'm intelligent? You want me to look in this camera and be super happy that I've loved film since the day I was born? You want me to look in this camera and be like, oh, this is a great show. We shouldn't talk about stuff because we have to monetize ourselves and reach 1,000 subscribers. I'm not going to do that. Whether this show,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. Definitely subscribe. Whether this show fails or does not fail, one thing you cannot change is that I know where I come from. I know how awesome I am. And to hear that quote from an actor that I am in competition with, respectfully in competition with, because that's what made this show so great. For me to pour my heart out and say that.
Sterling K. Brown.
What will Brown do for you? For me to pour my heart out and say to you that that line means so much to me, because before I knew I wanted to be an actor, before I knew that I wanted to see the world in a different light, I knew that I would rather down my knees than live on my feet. And so, as me and him have talked about, we both agree that if we had to make a choice between Eric Killmonger and King T'Challa, while I respect what T'Challa was trying to do in the world that I live, I would love to accept reality for what I want it to be, but I have to respect it for the reality that I live in. So to me, that was my best quote of the film because I resonated with it so much. First, as a human. Secondly, as an African American. Thirdly, as an activist. Fourthly, as an artist. So you see where my priorities lie. I'm like, again, I can only tell you the world I live in. Don't tell me I shouldn't feel the way I feel if you don't live the world that I live in. I live in a world to where, for film purpose wise, I hate when they like cast other characters as different characters. Like when Daredevil character recast Kingpin as a black character, I hated that. Like, I don't want to see, like, I love the fact that Miles Morales, the Black Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, is the dopest movie, and a black director and a black character got the love that they deserve, and that's dope. Because see, that was worth it. That's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But I don't want to see these other characters, whether white, black, or blue. I want people to realize, yes, I grew up with 98% superheroes that look nothing like me, David. Yeah. And I was taught that they were better, smarter, faster. That's the program that was set into my mind, Matrix-wise. This is a film podcast. Shall we not talk about film? I was fed a pill. Mm-hmm. But because I come from a heritage to where they gave me the last name Roy. That's the name that was given to me. I would like to think that y'all chose the wrong motherfucker to give the last name Roy. You knew my ego was too hard for that. So I resonate with this film so much because that quote there is exactly... Had I been born 100 years earlier, or we've been born 100 later, me and you would have never met. We're the products of people fighting hard from both sides of it, people that fought for us. So this quote to me is my best quote of the film because to me, death is better than bondage. I will never be a slave to anyone.
Yeah, that was a killer final line for him, and perfectly fitting too. And that is a somber conclusion to we're going to need a bigger boat. What do we got next?
So, with that being said, on a lighter note but darker, we have someone from the movie Black Panther, which brings me to our next segment, Cast, Crew, or You. And when we say you, we're not talking about the widely popular film from Netflix, You, featuring that crazy character Joe. We're talking about YOU. See, unlike most podcasts where we get A, B, C, D, E, F list actors, we sometimes want to involve, I don't know, the person that pays for it, buys the posters, the person that gets the little stuff we have in the background, the person that has to pay for that nobody else gives a fuck about. Yes, you, the consumer. What's one of the letters in consumer? You. So that's what we're talking about. Who are you? So, with all that being said, it's not about you this week. We actually have a cast member from the film Black Panther. So, David, cool points real quick. What tribe was he from, this member of the film that we have?
The Border Tribe.
What he means, I'm guessing real quick, don't blame me if I'm wrong, but he is correct. The Border Tribe. And if you notice, right on the screen right here, as we will fix it in post. He is now showing you what the Border Tribe outfit looks like. Let's give it about a good 5 seconds with some weird ass music from 75. And we're back. With that being said, we have Jerel JT Miller. How's it going, sir?
How y'all boys doing? Yo, Wakanda forever. I like that.
Yes.
Yes. Wakanda
Yes.
forever. Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So you are an actor, comedian, singer, screenwriter. When did you first realize that you wanted to create for a living?
So you taking that. Like, the thing is, I could say, like, you know, when I was like a kid and like 5 years old and everything like that. But honestly, I feel like, you know, it's just been with me, like, honestly, since I came out the womb. And I don't mean that in like some like whatever, but I just mean it in the sense of like, I've always been very open with, you know, how much I love to, interpret things, and how I love to, like, you know, artistically interpret them, I guess you could say. I've always been open to that. And pretty much for sure, as long as I've been watching television, you can guarantee I've been open to, and that's the thing, I've been watching television my whole life. You have to understand, like, from a very young age, like, I've, like, you know, just had, I've been glued to the screen and different projects, whether it just be like, you know, for me at that age. And then the thing is too, I would like try to dibble and dabble, and I got a little, there are some things I bit off a little too early that I probably shouldn't have been watching when I was like 5 years old, 6 years old, probably watching a few things a little too, I'm just keeping it real. But it is what, no, the thing is that I've always kind of had a little bit more maturity in that extent. Mm-hmm. But having said that, no, for a very long time, for as long as I can remember, I've always wanted to create artists, like my whole life.
So who showed you the movies as a child that you probably shouldn't have seen as a child? Because I know for me it was my grandfather on my dad's side. He showed me Nightmare on Elm Street before I probably should have seen it. I experimented with French kissing on the wrong person because I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and that's how Matthew Broderick kissed Mia Sarah. It was my mom. It was my mom, and she said, "Do not ever kiss anybody like that, especially your mother." Gina, my grandmother's name. This is why I don't want you showing him this. Yeah, it was bad.
This is our first TTFT exclusive.
It's crazy. The thing is, it's like, okay, so what it was is that, like, with me, I got it from like a bunch of different places, like, you know, with not necessarily like. My family members, not like same as you said, your grandfathers, so, but not necessarily my immediate family, like my mom and my dad. My parents, no, they tried to like whatever, like guard me from that, and like anything I like showed interest in, like, no, you can't watch it, you can't watch that. But the thing is that I had an affection for so many comedians like Martin Lawrence or Bernie Mac or Eddie Murphy, and it was just like, no, like I'm telling you, Life came out in 1998, right? So I was born in 1992. I was 6, but I still caught pieces of that boy, and I should like just like, again, I didn't watch that whole film, but as I got older, I want to say by like 10 to 12, I had already seen the whole film of Life. And I shouldn't have seen that at 10, 12 years old, but I saw.
What led you on the role, and how did you take us from unsigned actor to now I'm an agent and now I want any role in Black Panther? How did you go from this is where I'm at in my career, I need to be on Black Panther? What happened?
See, okay, so all right, cool. I guess I'm just going to have to like give you all the scoop and what really, you know.
Tell us about that black privilege.
No, all right, so it's so crazy because, you know, I was so obviously honored by the opportunity to this day, like, you know, because it was just like still, as many of us as there were out there, it was still a select few at the end of the day, especially when you look at how many people would have loved to have been in it, tried to be in it, all these different things. You know, I kind of got there on straight up, like, dude, through the back of the house type thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is how it happened. So, my boy, one of my boys in acting, you know, we all got our peoples or whatever. He's a fellow actor, you know what I'm saying? He does his thing out here. So in Atlanta, we both stay in Atlanta, and this is where they shot it. They shot it out here. And around that time, when I tell you, we were just trying to like anybody else that was like, kind of anxious to be on the project, we were as well trying to figure out like how we can get on, who do we talk to, this, that, the agent, like, I say, can the agent hook me? At that time, bro, I didn't even have the representation that I have now. See, I have much better representation right now at this very moment in time. At that time, it was and so I had to get a lot of things through, word of mouth, help a brother up type thing. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So when my boy, he somehow, bro, he got to connect with the people over there at Black Panther that were they needed people for the Border Tribe and for the people of Wakanda, all that stuff. But these were for the reshoots, bro. They had already shot most of this stuff already, but they wanted to reshoot a lot of things that Ryan Coogler, he said it himself. I remember those days on set. It was we're redoing all this because he wasn't feeling it from when they first shot it.
You're on set for the reshoots, which I would have killed for. I'm just going to be honest with you. Killmonger, no pun intended.
Yeah,
I would have killed for it. So you're there, and you're telling us that the director was not happy with what he saw. So because he pulled his card to say, we're going to reshoot this, you got an opportunity.
And there's nothing else to it. I was a part, and that was the other thing that was really cool about it. I was assured, how when you're on set, especially for these big major motion pictures like a Black Panther, Marvel or whatever, especially with where I was, dude, come on, it's not a guarantee at all that I'm going to get screen time. It's not a guarantee, but I got screen time, and that was part of that was because I was there for the reshoots. The things that, and while we were there, the director spoke on there were certain scenes in that Border Tribe scene that he just felt as if though it wasn't connecting as good, and he just wanted a little bit more from it. And so it was specific for us to reshoot some of those scenes. And so I just felt so honored that and also fortunate that wow, not only do I know that these scenes are for sure going to be in the film now, but now I can be a part of making sure wasn't connecting before, I can be a part of making sure that connects, be a part of the solution.
Where were the reshoots at?
Oh, dang. All right, let's see if I can remember that thing. It was we were just talking about it in a group chat too. I want to say somewhere in far south of South Georgia. So I would say 30 to 40 minutes south of the perimeter of Atlanta, I want to say. That could be a little ways from Fairburn, somewhere around there. I don't want to, but that's so it was around that area.
All right, so yeah, no, that's just interesting to me that they were movie magic's able to make Georgia look like. I mean, Wakanda is supposed to be. I'm not even going to speak on it. You go on what Wakanda is supposed to be.
Yeah. Do not talk. I will feed you to my children. No.
I mean, you see the way it looks in the movie.
Well, no. In fairness, no way. This show wouldn't even be right if I did not give him credit. Let's go at JT because you don't know this story. So essentially, I dressed up like me and my family and with my closest friends to go when Black Panther first came out 2.5 years ago. We go and we got on the Wakanda gear. We go in there and he's like, I want to film you guys doing this. He says this. I'm like, all right, cool. But we didn't really think this out. We were drinking one night. We're like, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. He's going to film us. We didn't think about white Caucasian male with book bag, a camera book bag, walking into a film theater on the day of Black Panther coming out saying he's going to shoot people. Totally came out the wrong way. However, it came out completely well. So this is my personal Everett K. Ross. If you saw the movie, you were in the movie, so I know you saw it. This is my Everett Ross. He's flying the plane in Shuri's laboratory. This is my Everett Ross.
You see the way it looks in the. I've been all through Georgia, and I've never seen anything that looks like Wakanda. And the way that they could take that. Actually, I've never.
Oh yeah.
Georgia.
Let it out. Let it out. I mean,
please. That's to most people that live in Georgia, they would probably be so pissed off to find out that Wakanda
was in Georgia.
One more follow-up, please, because I'm very interested in this. So you saw it in person, and then you see it on the screen. How much of there is the difference there?
They do a very good job in terms of the things that like is actually there, like us being there and all. But as far as everything that's behind us and all that stuff you see or whatever, you gotta understand, bro. Like, you know, all the CGI and all the stuff that goes into that, but it's so it's even though it's you see the big difference or whatever, it's still you're still amazed. I was still really amazed and still like impressed, I guess you can say, by how well done it still looks, even knowing all the stuff they got to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like what it is. It's Wakanda too. At the end of the day, like it ain't gonna be like, you know what I'm saying. That Wakanda, like you gotta go there. In my opinion, to make it look legit, make it look right. And I love that they went all out. They went all out.
Now, you trust me enough to tell this story because I'm not going to put you on Front Street. But again, that's the trailer. So you told me. So here's the thing. Like, so his Border Tribe outfit was worn by somebody else before. Okay. And when he came to get it, like,
snap.
Well, don't ginger snap, crackle, pop, and tell us.
Okay. You just triggered something.
I did.
Mercy, dog, your memory. I didn't even like. Wow. Okay,
I listen.
Okay. You do. Because, damn, dude, I'm over here like, what is this? What are you talking about? But yeah, I know what you're, okay, so, base, you talking about the cape, right?
Yep. Yeah, not Superman's cape either.
Okay. Let's see if I have not told the story in a minute. So, and with respect to this guy that I'm about to talk about, so T put me on the spot, so I gotta tell the story now. And with respect to this dude, though, like honestly, there's no ill will, no nothing, bro. There's no ill will, no nothing. But I just like this. The interaction was kind of silly. We're costumes, right? Costume, yeah. And like I said, like we just talk about reshoots. I mean, first time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm getting my fitting everything for the first time. And then, like, they basically, like, you know, we have these capes that we have for the Border Tribe, and the capes are down there, right? And the guys just basically tell me, hey, yo, like, go ahead, pick. There's no, get this one, get that one. This one's assigned to this one. Just go ahead and pick. So I saw one that was like, I want to say, I think it was blue and orange and silver. Ooh, it's that hard, boy. I said, I want that one. So I pick it up. Dude, out of nowhere, like, I'm not gonna say this dude's name, but like somebody comes up behind me and he's like, "Hey, yo, you know this, okay, right?"
Whoa! Stop right now. There's nothing wrong with the camera. Are you telling me this motherfucker walked up to you like fucking Xerxes and 300 was like, "Yo, bro"? He put his hands on your shoulders like, "It's not my power they fear, it's the whip." Like, what the happened? Like, seriously.
Dude, bro, like it was just as simple as like it was. Okay. Now that I am remembering even more clearly, you know what happened, man? This is actually
tell
what
us,
happened.
please.
I got all the way out to like where we're about to shoot.
Georgia.
You know, I got all the way out to we're on set. We're on set now, and that's actually where he approached me, I guess, because he had been looking for it all the way back since trying to get since cops putting on his costume and everything like that. Like, where's my and this that, and bro, I think we shot one take, and in between this, I guess this guy is still looking for his cape or whatever it was. He's still looking for it. When they said cut, in between cuts, in between takes, boss. This man walks up to me and goes, "Yo, you know that's my tape." When he approached me like that, in between takes, to tell me, "Yo, bruh, my logic is."
I can't believe Michael B. Jordan did you that way. That's crazy.
If it were, here's the thing. You funny, bro. That's funny. If it's Michael B, I bet I got your cake, right, Mike?
Yeah.
I got your cake. My bad.
Just as a fan of film and as a child that wanted to only become an actor and entertainer one day, and to see a person who did that in Chadwick Boseman, but was a better person than a better actor, how does that make you feel?
Look, folks believe in what they believe in. For me, I definitely believe in a higher power, and I believe I'm a very spiritual individual, and I do believe there is a God. And like, you know, it's just so funny how things work out in life, and like it's just like, wow, like really, because like obviously he passed away, and I was you know, basically grieving privately. You know what I'm saying? It sounds weird because did I like was Chadwick my best friend or anything like that or something like that, or was he my no he wasn't at all. We weren't like, dude, I met him in that time, whatever during the film. But having said that, it still hurt me like I lost a brother for real, because it's again specifically Chadwick. He was special, bro. He was special. He was beyond special. He was somebody that I specifically looked up to, and I always spoke when I speak to other people, like, you know, you're talking about actors that you really enjoy, or people that you just feel like guided or whatever. He often came up. And when I spoke with him, I spoke about him in the highest regard that I talk, like the highest tier that you can speak of when it comes to any actor or any performer. I don't think I even like realized or said enough how much like dude, you were actually one of my favorite actors out here in the game. I didn't even like, you know, hone that in enough. You know what I'm saying? And like how it hit me, and it hit me even that much more in his passing. And like I said, also him being African American. You know what I'm saying? Like being an inspiration in that, like, you know, just because like there's not, even though we are getting more and more representation, there are a few select that have the talent, the class, and just the God-given gift and the craft that Chadwick Boseman had. And that's what I aspire to be. And I could not be more upset that he's no longer with us. But he went out like a true king and a warrior of Wakanda. That's what I got to say on that.
Everyone that was close to him said that he had a smile that could light up the room immediately with positive energy. What was it like? You're the only one in this conversation that could actually speak on what that would be like in person.
Yeah, and that's crazy to me. You have to understand how that's crazy to me, that some people like in this time have had that, you know, I guess energy or like that attitude towards like that with me, like, yo, you actually, so what's it? And I'm just like, what the heck? How am I that one person among so many people, like right now, or like, you know, or like amongst my people, whatever. And the truth is, man, is that even though I wasn't as close to him as some of these other people were, yes, absolutely, I think that those reports are all true in the sense of, like when I was there for reshoots and we were filming like the scene, like we were on the hill, you know, that day, and like there was a lot of us running down the hill and coming back up, and running down the hill and coming back up, and there was like, that's when I remember having the kind of like the most interaction with him. I was going back and forth because it was just a lot of like, because it's funny, like we're just going down, oh, you guys go right back up, and then we'll go up, come right back down, and then like meet up with him in the middle, but not try to like, you know, run his ass over, because like, you know what, so we got to come real close or whatever. It's just, but like it's just like the little playful interactions we had there, him letting us like, you know, touch on the suit a little bit or whatever, whatnot, like just like entertaining us, and like just being a good-hearted, genuine person. And you felt that, you saw it, he gave that energy. He was not, as I guess you could say, some people in this business, they make it and they start showing their ass, I guess you could say. And like, no, that wasn't Chadwick. Chadwick was still like just humble, giving, open, and dude, I couldn't, man, I couldn't, like, it doesn't get higher in class when you're talking about, you know, who he was as a young man and what he did and just how he lived his life.
Any less classic? That's the first feature you're working on, right? How's that going? Tell us about that.
Oh snap! This man has set the title. Ooh! Oh my gosh! You gotta kind of excuse me to hear other people say it. Yeah, dog.
It's out there in the ether now. Now it has to be done.
Set the title. Any less classic? It is a upcoming romantic comedy. You know, it could definitely, it's probably could like, you know, slide in that romantic dramedy to an extent. And it follows two young men trying to climb the ladder in the music industry while also balancing romance and everything that comes with dating in a modern society. So I'll let y'all.
That's a solid elevator pitch right there. That's good. That is Jerel Tyrone Miller, actor, comedian, singer, songwriter.
Little brother.
Keep an eye out for any less classic.
Yes,
Thank you,
in
sir.
any less class, man. Do it, man. Listen, salute, brother. Hey, listen, E Bombay.
Hey, let's pass it. Hey, I appreciate y'all, man. Jerel Tyrone Miller, that's the trailer. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Thank you very much to Jerel for joining us and sharing some very interesting behind the scenes stories from Black Panther.
Keep your cape, cuz. Keep your cape.
Next up, we have room for improvement. So, if you could change one thing, what would that be? That's what we're asking ourselves. And you want me to go first?
Yeah, please.
All right. So, and this is my problem with most action movies. They time things to make the character more badass when they're supposed to look badass, and it's this unbelievably convenient timing that would almost, the odds of it happening in reality are just so astronomical that the scene becomes distracting because all I'm thinking about is how this is not realistic. And what I'm talking about is the moment, everything about Killmonger is awesome, but one of his setup scenes in the art museum when he tells the art director or the curator, whoever she is, when he tells her that you're not even worried about what's in your drink. The moment that he says that, she goes into like, at that moment, he timed it perfectly from the time he put poison in her drink to the time that he told her that there was poison in her drink for it to begin taking effect at that moment. That was purely done to just for the badass effect of it. But in like most movies, when they do that, it's done so obviously, and it's just poorly written. I don't have an alternative for how they should have done that. Maybe they should have left that part out, went a little bit subtle with it. But if I could change one thing, that would definitely be the thing, because it took me out of that element of this is deeper than an action film. It was the one time that I felt like, did Jerry Bruckheimer do this?
That means quick cuts. And here's the beautiful part about our show. We've been debating, agreeing, disagreeing the whole show. But when it comes to the subject of one thing that we could have changed, this is our show. We're sponsoring it. We're producing it. We're cutting it. We're editing it. We're filming it. We're acting in it. So we do what we want to do. So what I'm not going to do is disagree with anything he said. That's his premise. And I love that you put your heart out on that, because I don't want any smoke from what I'm about to say. If I can change one thing, and you have to understand, I wanted to change that ending fight scene so bad. Oh, I wanted to change it way down. Shout out Office Space. Way down. If I could change one thing, I normally don't like to read from the script, but I want to make sure that I don't miss anything here. On behalf of every thespian, actor, crew member, artist, and poet, and crew member, craft services runner, on behalf of every person that's ever taken their job seriously, if I could change one thing about Black Panther, I would change how ignorant Terry Gilliam was. A name I associate with the word Voldemort, a name that shall not be mentioned. The 12th, or should I say the 13th monkey, no pun intended. To quote the so-called filmmaker, writer, producer, Terry Gilliam, I'll put my resume up against yours any day. While you may have more notoriety, I'm sorry for my drinking, because clearly that's what you were doing when you gave your IndieWire review. And go check it out, guys. Even I won't be as ignorant as he was, as I can control myself. But I would put my IMDb up against yours any day of the week. You have more notoriety. Still can't pronounce it, but maybe you can pronounce excellence when you see it. So maybe I was doing it on purpose because I'm such a method actor. I would like to provide the community of the world with a few quotes from the so-called director, actor. I'm sorry, let me take that back. He doesn't deserve that. Director, writer, I don't know, whatever they call this guy. Quotes from the IndieWire review regarding Black Panther. Quote number 1. I hated Black Panther. If you want to look for the action verb in that sentence, the action verb is hated. Okay, that's cool. Whatever. I'm willing to accept that. It's some movies I hated. I get it. District 51, yeah. I've hated a lot of freaking movies. What's the worst that can happen? That movie.
Anything with Katherine Heigl in it.
Yeah, Vanilla Sky. You get it. So I get
No.
whatever.
See,
Season 2. Stop. Okay. Season 2. You're gonna have to sell me on that. Oh my gosh, you turned so red. So with that being said, that was one quote. I hated Black Panther. If I can continue with quote number 2. Watching this movie made my blood boil. Okay. Then the questions start. See, worse than statements or questions, the statements start, which are, I wonder whether the filmmakers even went to Africa. If that ain't the Caucasian kettle calling the pot black. And this one, just when I was ready to just dismiss this as clickbait, the quote of 2020 came, and it wasn't even in 2020 when he quoted this. Out of everything that's been f***ed up with 2020, this is the quote. Black Panther gives young black kids, which he's an expert in on speaking on, by the way, the idea that this is something to believe in. It's bull. Utter bull. And right when I was ready just to send some tweet, which is like 100 and some odd characters, I couldn't even get done with my tweet before I found this part, thanks to that algorithm that shall not be mentioned. They went and got some stylists for some African pattern fabrics and things. But I just hated that more. Partly because, here comes the back step, because he know they're f***ed up. The media was going on about how important this bullshit was. And guys, those are quotes. Those aren't opinions. Those aren't Facebook algorithms. Those aren't Instagram ads that you didn't ask for. But let me help you out real quick in my response to those things. Remember when he said they went and got some stylists? See, here's the thing. Out of all the bullshit that has happened to me in my life, at the end of the day, I still can put aside all that bullshit and still be a thespian and still respect art and, artists and actors and actresses for what they believe in, even though 95% of sets are Caucasian or some color that is not mine. I still love the art so much that I can still appreciate people who are at least trying to do what's right. But when people are just being innately evil, that's what this show is going to do. We're calling you the out. Let me tell you what he meant and what discredits every thing Terry the you thought you were better than anybody that looked like me or put up a pin in their life Gilliam said. Let me tell you how I know he's just not that guy. Remember when he said they went and got some stylists? Let me tell you the films and shows that the stylist has worked on. He couldn't even mention her name. This 79-year-old plus could not mention her name. Just say her name. Shout out Breonna Taylor. Miss Ruth Carter, which takes 30 seconds to IMDb, has been a part of the following entities: Black Panther, Dolomite Is My Name, Malcolm X, Amistad, Yellowstone, Four Brothers, I Spy, Baby Boy, Money Train, Corkland, Jungle Fever, and a little show that you know called Seinfeld. You ever notice how some white guys, Caucasians, I don't know, who've never been in the community that looks like mine, can pass judgment on a show? It's kind of funny, is it not? So Terry Gilliam, if I can change one thing about Black Panther, is that you never saw it, because your opinion doesn't matter, unlike all lives.
In Terry's defense.
You have defense for this? Really? You want to do this? Okay.
I just didn't think you were fired up enough. I wanted to throw a little match real quick.
I did not want that to happen for us tonight.
That's, yeah. Terry going on. Hashtag cancel Terry.
Cancel Terry, you fucking bigot.
Man, that hurt so bad.
Did you know all that I just said?
I mean, I knew part of it, but no. Man, he did Heath Ledger's last movie, 12 Monkeys, like...
Why do you think he signed on for that?
No comment.
Thank you. I'll make
Not
mine
from
out
this
later.
guy.
Yeah, whatever.
Colonize are going to be quiet.
Everett K. Ross showing out tonight.
All right, so next up we have the final segment, Fxxks Given. We are going to give the film 1 out of 5 Fxxks. Does it get 1 Fxxks? Does it get a handful of Fxxks? A whole fistful of Fxxks, you might say? Let's find out.
Well, for me, if I have to give a given, what I would give this film, all in all, I would say I fucks with this film hard. I give them a very erect middle finger, David, because of the fact that what I didn't want was too many compromises to be made. And to me, while the film could have been better artistically, for what they were given and what was accomplished and the phenomena that came from it, even me and you doing this show right now, it reached its masses. We're still talking about a standalone film from over 3 years ago that still resonates today, that still has so many subliminal messages in it. So you were given a marginal budget. You were told what you could not step outside the line on in the coloring book. Yet we have at least 10 to 15 quotes that are super dope that resonate outside of film. To me, I super fucks with this film. 2 Fxxks.
2
2 I only got 2 hands.
2 out of 5?
Well, no, not 2 out of 5, no.
What do you got out of 5? That's what we're doing.
2 out of 5?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I've done a lot of in my life. So out of 5, I give it 4.5.
Okay. Damn, you're gonna make me make a graphic of a half middle finger. All right.
I told you that.
4.5. All right. All right. So I want to preface this with saying
he's finna say some bullshit. Now. I'm not racist, but
for a comic book movie, I think I could only give any comic book movie 3 Fxxks.
Okay.
Max.
Okay.
So I give this one 3 Fxxks. I give it 3 out of 5 Fxxks.
But if you had to dive inside the realm of a comic book genre, out of 5 Fxxks, what would you say?
Well, I can't because all right. So I say what I think is great about it is the fact that, like you said, it's a standalone. It stands on its own as a standalone movie. Like when I watched it, especially with the ending, with the United Nations ending, it felt like an awesome extended pilot episode to what would be the making of an intriguing series. Like, and the way it has that perfect climax into that the cliffhanger. So it goes from
when he tells them that they're gonna open themselves up, their technology to the rest of the nation.
Yeah, they close out the story in Black Panther really well with the climax, and then they go into that cliffhanger at the United Nations where it's like they're setting up this awesome series of events that's gonna transpire. Like it felt like a great pilot episode, but then like even with that, I'm watching that and I remember being excited when we saw it in the theater. And then getting excited again, but it was a bittersweet excitement this time because this time it was like, well, they can't do anything that whatever they were writing or had in mind when they did that scene and ended it like that, they can't go that route anymore because reality has changed what their options are, unfortunately. And so like even with the thing that made it so awesome to me, it comes with this like bittersweetness because you see the potential of what they were setting up and immediately realize that like I'm still intrigued by what they're going to do with part 2 because you know there's an opportunity there for them to do something very interesting, but I would have really loved to see where T'Challa's story was going to go from part 1, how they set it up.
Speaking of that, I just want to, as we wind down, and that's one of the things that, sometimes we have to cherish, if you've heard the line, people never get the flowers while they can still smell them. And I want to just, say that, I empathize with him. Why I can't sympathize with him when you got to play characters like James Brown, Jackie Robinson, and T'Challa. Like, dude, your resume. Like, I mean, who's putting their dick on the table and saying I played these people?
Yeah.
Like even Denzel, while you played Malcolm X. But I mean, outside of Malcolm X, there's a couple like you were in Roots. I'm not Roots. I probably Glory and all these other things. Like, but like just if you 3 standalone movies, I was T'Challa, King T'Challa, James Brown, and I was Jackie Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, T'Challa out. I'm out. Like Boseman out. Salute, brother. Hey, listen, my resume real does recognize real. I can only hope one day for my resume to be there as an actor. Like, and those are the things that I have to say that even though as great as an actor he was, from all the research I've done for Chadwick Boseman, he was a better human being, and that's to me, that's dope at its finest, man.
So real quick before we just wrap it up with what we're doing next week, what do you think they're going to do with part 2?
That's not a tricky question. It's a direct question. But I will add on. What do I think they will do and what they should do? Okay, what I think they will do is I think they will push the story back and let the Black Panther story was meant to lead the second phase of not phase 4 but phase 4 and phase 5 of Marvel, because they have different phases. If you didn't know that, most comic book fans know that they have different phases. So while that's not going to happen anymore, because remember, Chadwick never does. There's only 2 people that knew Chadwick had what he had medical wise. There was his agent, and of course there was his girlfriend. Outside of that, no one else knew, or no one else was privy to the information. So he signed that deal, or no one that's not really out there is just getting out. He signed the deal with Marvel even in the first film when he knew he was diagnosed with what he had. So when you ask me what is he going to do,
They were in the middle of writing part 2 when he died, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The storyline was somewhat. They hadn't even started filming. 100% correct. Thank you. The research is correct. So, with that being said, what do I think they will do? I think that they're going to push the Guardians of the Galaxy with James Gunn. I think they're going to push Thor: Love and Thunder, and I think they're going to push these other entities into the film that are already happening to figure out where they want to go with Black Panther.
Well, what about Fantastic Four?
See, here's the thing with Fantastic Four. That's been rebooted at least 4 or 5 times. No franchise has been more rebooted than Fantastic Four. You got like the 80s version. You got the Reed Richards version. I'm not Reed. You know, the one we got when we were kids, and then you got the one with Michael B. Jordan yet again, which is why I don't like characters playing the same character. But with that being said, what I want them to do, I want them to be true to what we've talked about tonight. And because follow the storyline, what I think they should do, and if they follow this, I want some credit. Marvel at least bring me in, fly me and my best friend in to help you guys save some money and some time on guys who know what the they're doing. What they should do is they should follow the story arc of when Shuri becomes Black Panther
in the comics.
However, the full film should not be based off of that. What it should be, 40 to 60% first part of the film should be spent on T'Challa passing, and them trying to find the next man to be the next Black Panther. So while all this is happening, Shuri is saying she does not want the throne. She doesn't want any of these things. But while this is happening, while they're going through the same battles we saw from Wakanda 1, for them to find out the next Black Panther, they're attacked. They're attacked by the city of Atlantis, which in Marvel lore is when Namor and the city of Wakanda go to war. Atlantis and Wakanda go to war. And so what I'm saying is, if you look at the Avengers Endgame, there's a line to where Okoye says, what Black Widow says to Okoye, we've seen some rumblings of an earthquake under the sea. How are we handling that? And Okoye says, Nat, we handled it by not handling it. Yet again, Rain saying we're going to be smart about this. Mm-hmm. But what she's references is the city of Atlantis, which is Namor. So what I would like to see is they do the misogynistic thing, saying we need another man to be king. I want to see Shuri not want that mantle because my brother was here. She's still mourning her brother. So give me half of the movie of them picking someone. Then right when they're finna pick someone, Atlantis attacks. And because of Shuri's intelligence, maybe that's when they fully recognize her intelligence. And she takes over the mantle as Black Panther. It's someone we know is paying homage, and it's not saying, hey, guy up next, aka Jared Leto, you got to play this role that somebody loves. I don't want anybody to get Jared Leto, and I think that's fair.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's exactly who I had was the sister. I think that's the most logical explanation. Yeah.
Okay.
So hey, we can end it on a total agreement note. Next week we are going to be talking about a film that we actually saw last week, and that works out perfectly for the movie we're doing. We're going to be kind of going back in time to discuss something in the present that we'll post in the future. Tenet. That'll be next week. We will be going through all of these same topics, all these same discussion points. So look forward to that. And what do you got anything before we say goodbye?
I have a lot of things before we say goodbye, but what's already happened is already happened. See you in the future.
And that is the mother
trailer.
Subscribe.
That's the great show. This, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Yeah.